And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry. Ian's not here, but I have to say that or else he'll get unhappy.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'm Beej, and you've seen me on this show a lot, and you've also seen Kathleen on this show several times as well.
Woo!
And the idea this week was to try to do some vegetarian cooking.
Yeah.
And Cameron was going to be here for that, but then he had a previous thing he had to do, and he had to bow out, sadly.
Yeah.
And I said, well, then I'll try something.
How exciting.
I know, right?
Well, I've prepared two really fun and easy and delicious vegetarian dishes for us to try today. And I know what I'm doing, but it's a little bit, by the very nature of the first dish, it's a little experimental. We'll get into that. But the first one is going to be basically a green. Now, this word is spelled S-H-A-K-S-H-U-K-A, a shakshuka.
All right.
So now, typically, if you know what that is like that's like a tomato-y dish, but this is a green variation, aka what do you have laying around that you can turn into a delicious and cheap meal?
So is it like really good for like if you have a lot of leftover greens?
Correct. We're gonna go through what I've brought from the back of my fridge, but it's perfect for this. It's a tasty tomato dish, says Mooseville Cat. This is sort of a green variation. This is you can do this with spices and seasoning to your taste. I'm gonna do it with. I'm going to do it the most straightforward, which is I'm going to use butter and salt and pepper and garlic to season it, but because there's a lot of vegetables and you don't need to be adding tons of fresh herbs and spices. Also, I forgot the basil I was going to bring from my house.
Oh, yeah,
so
and you have a lot of basil.
I do. So, but whatever. You can do this with what you have on hand. And I'm going to top that up with another wonderful leftover using item, rice pudding. I'm going to show you how to make rice pudding from scratch, which is shakshuka has eggs traditionally for protein, and my dish has eggs as well. So I'm going to yay back of the fridge food. This is back of the fridge food. But Beej, what are you going to make for us?
I am going to make simple pad thai.
Oh, this will be a let's try.
Serving 4, prep time 20 minutes, cook time 15 minutes. So I was in Superstore buying stuff the other day and was like, so here's how I make pad thai. I buy a jar of pad thai sauce, and then I make all the things you're supposed to do, and I dump the sauce on top like it says to do. And I'm like, this is stupid. I'm paying $4 a jar for sauce. And I decided, when I saw this, I'm like, I can make this using what it says here, because it's like brown sugar and stuff. I'm like, I have almost all of these things. I will do this. So I'm using an aisle recipe to see how that all comes together.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's kick us off. I'm going to walk you guys through what I've brought for this. So first of all, I have some leftover cabbage. I did like a deconstructed cabbage roll, like goulash kind of stuff. And I had a little bit too much cabbage because I just cut up all the cabbage, right? And I was like, this might be a bit much. So I've got I'd say this is 2 cups of cabbage, which is clean and ready to go. I've got 1/4 of a yellow bell pepper. Penelope eats like 2 slices of bell pepper at a time, so we've always got lots of this. I've got half an onion left over from something. Garlic, which is just something you should always have on hand. I have the last 2 mushrooms in the back of my fridge. Mushrooms, very tasty, delicious food. Now, over here, I have some bok choy. I just grabbed some bok choy leaves. It's starting to get a little old, but it's still fresh. 3 ribs of celery from my celery, which I've been sort of slowly working my way through. And some truly wretched and sad, very floppy, bought it because it was on sale and didn't get around to using it. Swiss chard, which is perfect for these kind of recipes.
Do we need to pat it dry for any reason, or is it all going to become a nice
I'm
mess?
going to dry it out a little bit. I have some towels here. I just had to wash it first, right?
Oh, sure.
And so that's why it's sort of sitting in a pile of water at the bottom, because I've pre-washed all my greens. Obviously, you can clear stuff out of your fridge for when you're doing things like this, but make sure that you don't just throw stuff from the grocery store. You have to wash everything. Is it dripping because you washed it, or because that chard is sad? Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Even good cooks sometimes let food go bad.
Yeah, you did wash it. It's not dripping with chard decomposition.
No, absolutely not.
It was in just kind of like, it was in the shape it was in beforehand.
Yeah.
Are you going to use those celery leaves?
I don't, probably not. Do you want to just eat them?
Yes.
They're delicious.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like, you don't need to do this, but I've always cut the bits off celery that I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
Ooh, a scrap bowl.
Let's have a scrap bowl. Just
Actually,
over
let's make this our
Oh,
scrap
that's a
bowl
great
because there's a
idea.
bunch. Or there. I just need to get the water out of here.
here. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Good.
There is very little to this, but there's going to be a lot of chopping.
That burner isn't on, is it?
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay, good.
Don't worry.
Also, it's induction, so it wouldn't. It would. The only thing that would get hot would be the pan on top of it, which would start melting the plastic thing. So be worried.
Oh, perfect. It would be a good fire hazard.
I like how that changed from don't worry to be worried.
Tinker Tailor.
It's
Let's make a deal.
ever forward, never learning, safety third. The best part, I mean, I know there's going to be a poll tonight, obviously, and Ian can't be in the poll.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Ian is away right now. He is enjoying the Joko cruise.
Yeah, he's with a bunch of people we know.
Yep, he and Corey went, and then ran into by surprise Andrew and a bunch of other people. And
Molly and Ben are there.
Yeah.
Who else do we know that's there? Probably a bunch of people. Liz is there.
I think he said he was actually going to do a late night dub fight too.
That's right. Yes, he did say he was going to try to get one of those together.
Where will they find a bunch of nerds that could do that?
So I'm.
Now here's a fun thing. If you do end up with scraps like this, and you're like, what do I do with all of these onion skins and everything? And you're definitely the kind of person who wants to use all parts of the vegetable and not waste, and you don't have like organic recycling or something like that. What you can do is you can save all of this stuff, and you can make vegetable stock out of it. Even the onion skins. The onion skins still have oniony flavor that can be extracted.
Because you're basically just going to pull all that stuff out anyway.
Correct.
Neat.
So, now why am I chopping the onions up like this? Because I think it gives you nice oniony, like, sized chunks. I'm a fan of onion. You can chop them up smaller if you want. But I like to get some texture of the onion. I'm sure people are complaining about my knife skills, but I'm not reading chat right now. This is
No
kind
one
of
is complaining about your knife skills.
This is kind of a dried out onion, as you can see from it, like sort of like falling apart as I'm trying to chop it. It's been in a plastic bag in the back of my fridge for, probably a few days.
I stopped using my my vegetable crispers have just kind of become they were rendered useless for a while, and so I eventually just started putting all of my onions in my vegetable crisper. And now what it is it just all the onion skins collect at the bottom of the crisper, and then when I'm done with my 10 pounds of onions, I empty that into the compost. But now I know I can make stock out of them. I didn't realize I could do that.
You can do stock with all sorts of scraps, carrot peels, and like if you need to pick the stems out of your mushrooms because you're doing stuffed mushrooms for some reason, all sorts of good stuff. Now there is a little bit of a method to my cooking madness. Remember I said I'm just going to start chopping and see where the wind takes me. I am chopping the harder vegetables, like the stems of the bok choy, and I'm going to start cooking before I throw in the softer vegetables, such as the leaves of the bok choy and the Swiss chard, just because you want to give the onions and the garlic and stuff time to render down. That bit's maybe not the nicest. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But before, because the leaves will sort of turn into slime if you let them cook too long. So we'll get two things going here. Mushrooms take longer to cook.
We also have an overhead cam, everybody,
and
too.
Screw it up. Don't worry about it too much.
We do have an overhead cam.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Windows just informed me that it was going to restart for an update in 5 minutes, so I just have to make some quick changes.
Oh dear.
No, don't. Also, give me more warning.
Then 5 minutes. Now, Kathleen, I don't like mushrooms. I don't like Swiss chard, or I don't know where to buy Swiss chard. They never have it at my grocery store. What the heck, bok choy? Oh, you can do this with anything. You can do this with frozen spinach, just thaw it out first and then squeeze all the water out. I think mushrooms are a great addition, but if you don't like mushrooms, that's fine. You can do... Basically, the sky's the limit. But I really recommend the onion and the garlic. I think that's great. And actually, Swiss chard has a very nice flavor. Probably better when you don't let it turn all slimy in the back of your fridge. But you know what? Sometimes bad things happen to good food. And it's not anybody's fault. right?
Yep. I mean, I buy. So Superstore started doing naturally irregular food.
Oh, good. The
So-
B grade
Yeah,
stuff.
B grade stuff, and so I can buy like a 4-pack of A grade peppers for $5, or I can buy an 8-pack of B grade peppers for $5.
Oh yeah, you always go for the 8-pack of B grade.
Absolutely, because I'm chopping them up anyway, and I'm putting them into whatever it is I'm making, and they're part of sauces or whatever. So it's like I never end up seeing them, so it doesn't really matter. And plus, what's weird is when I was there the other day,
Pepper's just nice to eat too.
all the peppers were like, they were beautiful peppers, and I'm like, what are they doing in the B grade stuff? And it's like, I now buy so many peppers that they go bad in my fridge.
Oh, bring them to me. Bring me any of the bell peppers that you don't want, because they're expensive.
They are.
Loading ready run, an 8-pack of B grade.
You can substitute most other dark leafy greens for chard. Kale is good. Whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It just happens to be what I have on hand. This is an involved amount of vegetables, but I was like, screw it, I'm grabbing everything.
Sure.
Like the more stuff you have to add to this, the better it's gonna taste, because then you get more delicious vegetable flavor. But you don't have to. I've done this with spinach and bok choy and garlic and mushrooms. That's 4 ingredients, right? Now garlic. This is garlic that's starting to get a little old. It's got a sprout on it because I was keeping it next to my bananas, which is probably not the best idea, but you know what? C'est la vie. That's okay. It all tastes the same in the end. I think it's important that people like don't get hung up and think they're a failure if they're learning how to cook and they're like, oh no, I was going to do a thing and then I like got really tired and then, or just like had to work late or just didn't have the spoons to cook something and now all those vegetables I bought are going slimy and they're not good and I've wasted money. No, you haven't. You just have to, this is a good way to use up things that have gone bad. And like, it's like most vegetables are pretty forgiving, even if they are starting to get a little old. They'll still taste pretty good. Like maybe this is not like, you know, the kind of stuff that you'd want to eat at a high-end restaurant, but you're not a high-end restaurant chef, right?
Yeah.
So what does it matter? I think it's important that people give themselves a break and not feel too bad. Just,
I mean, part of being here tonight with this thing of I'm going to make this pad thai. It's like I'm nervous in the sense that I'm like, I know how to cook, and I've done.
you know how to follow a recipe.
Yeah, and I know how to follow a recipe, but it's like I haven't had to make this before. So what if it comes out and I don't like it, and just having to say to myself, it was the experiment. That was the whole point. It was just to see what it actually turned out being like, and then knowing what maybe I don't put this in next time, or don't put that in next time, or I find a different recipe altogether.
I find most pad thai, the real issue with most pad thai that you get at not a restaurant is that it seems to be a little bit dry. You know what I mean? Like there's never quite enough sauce.
Yeah.
So just make it really saucy.
Which is funny because so on the jar that I buy, I bought curry in a jar before, same size jar, and it's like, you making curry? Dump the whole jar in. 400 milliliters of sauce. You need all that. I'm like, yes, okay, cool. Thai curry needs that. The pad thai's like, dump in half this jar. I'm like, you must be out of your mind. I want this to be delicious and saucy and full of, and like, no, half the jar.
How does it turn out?
It turns out like it does in the restaurants, like it does at the fast food places. It's like, everything's just barely coated in the sauce. And I'm like, it's good enough. I would like more sauce.
You'd like it a little saucier.
But then if I do that, then I'm left with a third of a jar. And what do I do with that? I have to open another jar. And that's why I want to do this, because I'm like, I can just
Very
add.
small amount of pad thai.
Yeah. And so it's like, now what I can do, if I learn how to do this and this actually comes out the right way, it's like, now I can actually make however much sauce I want, and F the haters.
Have you ever had I feel like it's probably at lower end Thai restaurant, pad Thai, where it's sort of pinkish, like it's
Interesting.
It's sort of a reddy pink, which seems like not the right color for pad Thai.
Well, what's weird is the jar of sauce that I buy is a really dark red. And of course, when you only use a little of it and it spreads out through everything, it does not color that much of your whatever, and you're
And then
left
the
with
white, it sort of soaks into the rice noodles too. Like the
Yeah.
rice noodles are absorbent and they'll like suck the sauce in.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, but pink I've never heard of. That's
I
very.
think that's tomato paste that makes it pink.
Could buy that. I mean, this recipe that I've got is like ketchup and sriracha and stuff. So we'll see how that turns out. But
I mean, ketchup is like a used thing. All right. Is that all my vegetables? It is. Hooray! Good job.
You got that.
Oh, I got my Swiss chard.
Yes.
Still, I did cut like a weird bit off my garlic.
I am going to sweep all that garlic nonsense into the bad bucket.
Oh, thank you.
I am while Kathleen is chef, I am her commis.
And then we'll switch.
Yep.
Oh, what wretched chard. Still great. Although, on the bright side, typically you gotta like... Typically, what I do is I cut up the stems separately and stuff like that, but I don't think I'll need to worry as much now. They're still a little woody, but I think they add a nice tooth.
Woody.
There's some crispness on the inside. I think texture is important, so you don't want to cut up all your vegetables to be the same texture.
Do you want to put them in here instead?
I don't know. They're still like the stems are still hard.
Okay.
Brah, brah, brah.
So you're dividing the things into stuff that needs to be cooked a little bit to make it soft, and
Yeah, I'm just dividing them into leaf type and stalk type Pokemon.
what
You thought it was all grass type, but no, it goes even darker than that.
Yeah,
what are stock type weak against?
butter and garlic.
Leaf type is like weak against blanching.
Yes, very weak against blanching.
Mm-hmm.
Do. Now here's the thing, getting into this, it's like, this is not, it's like floppy and stuff like that, but it's not as floppy as you'd think it would be. There's still some, it's not like it's decomposed, it's just not as fresh as it should be. All right.
So for people who are walking in late, you are making a shakshuka?
Sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of. This is not a traditional shakshuka, this is like...
But it's the same style of thing, isn't it?
Sort of. This is just like... We'll just call this a green shakshuka, which is kind of a bullshit term, but... Oh, I gotta turn you on first. Alright. Heat. Let's start at 250, I think that was quite hot.
That sounds good.
Sure. As always, let your element heat up before you add your oil. Today I'm adding butter. Because who doesn't like butter? And it's delicious and it makes everything taste good. I would say this, because I'm pretty good at eyeballing, is probably about a tablespoon of butter.
Yeah, okay, I buy it.
Ah.
Now we just wait for the thing to heat up. Which...
It heats up pretty fast.
Yeah.
But of course now I've got all of this vegetable matter, because I like literally just cleaned out the back of my fridge. I've like, got some cabbage to use up, I've got some other stuff, blah blah blah.
So
bell pepper, onions, celery, a very sad shard, and a few
Like
raw.
cabbages.
how
Yeah.
old would you say the oldest thing in there is? Like the chard?
Over little under a week. Because I went grocery shopping. Oh no, over a week. I'm sorry. It's the shard would be 9 days old.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that looks like it's been around waiting a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
So if you're following along at home, go into your fridge and just dig out everything you have.
Then there better be a ton of turmeric for this. There isn't, because this is a green. Now I could have had cumin and basil and other fresh things, but I didn't because I forgot them at home. But that's okay.
So this is really like, it's like what a lot of cooking like this is, which is essentially, I got inspired by the idea of this.
Correct.
And decided that, you can take X and you can make Y in much the same way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. This is sort of if you do Google searches for like green shakshukas, they exist.
Okay.
It's a thing that people will tell you can make, even though it's not traditional at all.
Yeah. I mean, shit, you could put peas in your guacamole if you like that. You can go
I've
ahead
heard of
and do
people
that.
doing that.
Yeah, right. There was that whole thing like a few years back, and I was like, people got really angry about it. I'm like, well, yeah, that's probably not real guac, but you know what it is? It's an avocado dip with peas in it now, and it might be pretty good. Who knows? I didn't try any. Don't just yuck somebody's yum. Especially when it comes to food. Food's a really personal choice.
Yeah. So, this is a bit of work, but this is great because you'll get leftovers out of this if you're making this much food. So over here, for stage 2 of the dish, and what makes it more of a shakshuka rather than just like a bunch of shit I'm frying up, is I'm going to take all of my fried stuff, and this frying pan's not quite big enough to do what I want, so I'm probably actually just going to totally cook it in stages.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it all into this pan. And then I'm going to make little wells in the pan, and I'm going to take some eggs. Oh, I was going to put tomatoes in here, but I don't think I will. I'll just take the tomatoes. I'm going to put the wells in the pan, and then crumple some cheese in there, because I brought some cheese.
Oh, nice.
And then eggs, and then bake it in our toaster oven until it's done. And you just have, you have
like a, not soft boil, but you have like a cooked egg, like
you
a
have
baked
a cooked egg, but
yeah.
we're gonna try to time it so the yolks are still runny.
Nice.
And then you scoop that out and you eat that, and it's like sautéed vegetables and garlic and melty cheese
Oh, it
and
sounds
yolk
so
with
good.
runny egg, and it's so good.
It sounds so good.
It's so good. It's a very cheap dish to make. For those of you who are like me and like doing things on the cheap. And then the second thing I'm making is rice pudding, which is also very cheap. I did make some, rice pudding is best with like leftover like day-old rice.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any day-old rice, so I made some rice earlier today. I prepared some rice ahead of time.
Oh, did you? Well,
Yes.
I mean, if you don't mind cheating, I was actually thinking for tonight about, instead of doing this pad thai, I thought maybe I'll do fried rice or something, because we were still deciding last night, Heather and I, if like what our involvement was going to be tonight, whether we were available. And I thought about it. I was like, I couldn't do fried rice because I really need to learn how to get better at my fried rice recipe, which is not grand, but it's getting there. And then when I saw the pad thai thing in the store, I'm like, no, I think I'll do this instead. But I was all prepared to cook like 3 cups of rice and come in with that and be like, we're just going to keep trying rice over and over till I get it.
Wow.
So-
You're a brave man. I don't typically do things on here unless I've made them, I would say 3 to 4 times.
I think, well, you know, it's fine. I think everybody wants to see a victory, and then everyone's probably bracing for a failure. But the funny thing is, I don't think I'm going to fail tonight.
No.
I'm just going to be very cautious about how I'm doing it. So
Cooking is not hard if you can follow a recipe, and if you actually follow a recipe. Now, I've never made quite this variation of this before.
And you haven't done it on this kind of hardware, and
No,
like,
this pan is too small for all the vegetables I put in, but I'm also lazy.
would you prefer a really large pan?
I would, with higher sides.
Would you?
Do you have a huge ass wok? I mean, this
Well,
pan's
I'm
already
just-
hot.
I'm just saying, if you want to swap in my wok, you could do that. It is
Hot wok swap. I'm already cooking with this pan.
It is also very dirty and smells like a dirty wok.
No. Mushroom down.
It's a unique smell. The dirty wok smell.
Yeah.
Can't be compared to anything else.
So Kathleen, I thought you were putting garlic in this, you said. Yes, I am. But I wanted to give my
Give everything a chance to actually get to know each other a bit.
yeah. So I've cut up a lot of garlic. I think like 5 cloves of garlic, but 2 of them are really small, so we're going to count that as 1 clove. And because I'm going to cook in stages, I'm dividing my garlic. And I always like to add my garlic a little bit later. Because garlic, actually, because it's got a lot of natural sugars in it, can burn and can brown. And sometimes you want crispy, garlicky bits, depending on the kind of recipe. But I actually just want a garlic flavor to infuse. So there's a pro tip: if you can add your garlic a little bit later, and it will be totally fine, and you will still get a garlicky flavor, but your garlic is less likely to overcook.
One of the things I remember reading about cooking with a lot of like aromatics and stuff too is that when you put them early in the cycle, you're going to lose more of that flavor to the wind. So sometimes it's not a bad idea to wait a little bit in the cycle, because then everything becomes stronger.
Maybe I should make this go higher. It's like cooking it, like I would say somewhere around like probably a 5, but I think I could go up to like a 7.
Yeah?
Yeah. Most people are afraid, and the garlic is raw, it is stronger. I mean, it's not going to be raw garlic by the time we're done this.
Yeah.
Because it's then going to go into the oven.
So we don't have the oven out yet. I should go get that.
I was thinking we could get it at the commercial break.
Good, because it's loud to get it out.
Yes. Kathleen, do you prefer doing this in a pan and then transfer to a casserole, or would you rather do it all in a cast iron skillet if you had the room? Oh, if I had I have a cast iron skillet at home, this is how I would cook that at home. One big cast iron skillet.
Nice.
But I wanted to make sure that the cast iron skillet would work with the induction cooktop, and like it's really heavy and this is fine. If you don't have a cast iron skillet, you can cook it like this in an oven-proof dish, and which has like a bit of like schmutz on it from like cooking celery, and like a frying pan. It's all very straightforward. There's no wrong way of frying well, I mean, I guess there's like absolutely failing to fry.
Yeah.
Like, but there's very few things you can do to screw up vegetables. We just need to cook them down, and they're delicious.
And you're not looking to caramelize these.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like, because pan crowding is a real thing.
Correct.
As I've discovered, it's like if you put too much stuff in, there's too much water gets released, and then you're boiling your food and not sautéing it, or
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, you want this to cook. I don't need to have this cooked amazing. Like, if it's conductive, it'll work.
Yeah.
Well, I do have, like, my big frying pan is an aluminum non-stick.
Aluminum would not.
Does not work on this. I brought it in here.
Yeah. Cast iron works real well. Bring in our Dutch ovens.
Dark Morford. Vegetarian cooking, not really my thing, to be honest. I need my meat. I mean, I love meat, too.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of meat, but this is surprisingly good. Also, when you add all the mushrooms are really good in this, because mushrooms have a tremendously umami flavor to them, especially when they're cooked. And they release all their juices and flavor up all of the other things. And this, you know, when you combine like the different textures of the vegetables here, and the different types of vegetables and flavors, and the garlic and the mushrooms and the cheese and the eggs, you don't feel like you're not getting your meat. A lot of people who are like really need, like, I'm not like criticizing people who like, oh no, I need to eat meat with my meals. A lot of people who are like, I don't like vegetable dishes, have just had poorly prepared vegetable dishes that didn't have enough stuff going on and flavors.
I'm a big fan of meat.
And of course, with a recipe like this, you could always, add some meat.
You could add if you had like leftover like chicken, you could put it in there. You could add tofu if that's your jam. I don't really think you need to add tofu.
If you want a place to set
Some
the
sausage or something could be good.
If you want to set that down.
Ooh, crumbly sausage would be nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, like an andouille, like a smoky sausage.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like almost every culture has a variation of this dish, that is like the put a bunch of stuff and cook it.
Yeah, and then add these things to it based on common spices you have in your kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you, the original version of this recipe I saw and have adapted it from called for the seasoning. It had no mushrooms, which I felt was a mistake. Because I always make everything as instructed for my first go around. It had no mushrooms, and I felt the mushrooms really rounded out the flavor profile.
Yeah.
And it called for cumin as a seasoning, but just cumin, and I was like, just cumin by itself is not my favorite. It's not something I am a huge fan of.
I made a lot of chili without cumin because I was like, I don't want to take the chance on buying a thing. I'm just going to try to make...
Cumin is good in chili.
Yeah, like a chili-like thing, and that didn't have any cumin in it. And then finally I just bit the bullet and like, I'm going to buy some cumin, and I tried it, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I've been missing all this time.
In your chili?
I made 2 more batches of chili, and I've never made any chili since.
I like cumin and chili.
I gave up because I was like, I don't know if I like this as much.
I really don't like the cumin needs spicy friends. I did not like the instructions for this with just cumin by itself. I think next time I'm gonna try like maybe do like an actual spice blend, like a za'atar or something like that, or like a harihasa spice blend.
Okay.
I think something that's like pre-mixed, but from like the right area of like the world, and then try it with that to see how that works with all the different vegetables. But this is good if you don't, and if you do like cumin a lot, you can just add cumin or literally anything else. Kathleen's always been pretty contrarian. Sure, I guess.
Yeah,
In reference to
something somebody else said, it looks like.
pronouncing the L in...
The andouille.
Andouille?
Yeah.
Andouille? I don't know.
Well, do you say the L's at the end or not?
I don't know.
And I
I'm
imagine...
not Spanish or wherever. They're from Spain, right? That type of food?
I think so.
Andouille?
I don't know.
andouille?
I assume that you have to pronounce the L, or you don't pronounce the L's because it's two L's in a Romance language, which I think when you see them together, you're not supposed to say them.
Oh.
But yeah, I think that's the rule. I don't know.
Okay, can we get the overhead camera for a second?
Because it's going to be full of steam.
Well,
oh, it's not. Awesome.
No, this is the color you want to get.
Look at that fond.
Look at that lovely browning.
Oh, it's good looking fond.
That's flavor right there.
Yep.
That's why I've been gradually turning this up.
Welcome to Flavor Country.
This is flavor. This is literally flavor country. Oh, if you had some white wine. Do we have any white wine?
Yes.
Oh, give me some white wine.
Mute me.
Really? I didn't know we had white wine.
I think we have some white wine left over from like a desert bus thing. I'm sure all this steam on the overhead camera is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Huey, Louie, and Dewey. I'd love it if Kathleen just took a big slug of wine. I'm not really a drinking person. I had to give it up for like a couple years there, and it didn't come back to me.
I feel like this wine is probably in the cooking wine variety at this point.
Oh, yes.
Especially like if this was Desert Bus wine that was open for Desert Bus.
It's not burning. I'm just worried about getting the steam on the camera. It's probably fine. I can smell cooked vegetables. I can't hear Beej though, which makes me think maybe we don't have wine. Because at some point I gotta take this off. Come back. Because my vegetables are actually looking very nicely cooked now.
Oh, it smells amazing. Okay, I have a problem. We don't have white wine. What we have is we have sparkling white wine. We don't have white wine, but we also have red, which we have not opened yet.
Oh, I don't know about red.
I don't think so. But then we have this, and I don't know what this is.
That's a very expensive Brazilian liqueur.
Ah, good.
Wait, give me the Brazilian liqueur.
Not expensive cooking Brazilian liqueur?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, we have sparkling white wine, which we could totally crack if we wanted to, because you could, but I don't know if that's a great idea. So what actually is this?
This is, oh, that'll be fine.
I feel like this might kind of overshadow the cheap recipe to do with leftovers aspect.
If you got white wine in your house, you just use some white wine. This is cachaça salinas, cachaça de alambic. So I thought lambic, right? Minas Gerais. Gerais. Tradicional desde 1989. Campea. Top of mind, 2014.
So,
Yes, thank you. I know that there's nothing on there.
Sorry, what? So what? That's liqueur?
This is, yep. Cachaça salinas. I have no idea what that actually is.
Could you put a splash in here?
I would love to.
Bit more.
Bit more?
I want to deglaze my pan a little bit. That's great. What's deglazing a pan, Kathleen?
This is just something somebody sent us, eh?
Yeah.
No, this was dropped off to us at PAX.
Oh, was it?
This Brazilian friend has actually sent us a lot of other delicious things over
right.
the year. That's like Brazilian rum.
My hands smell amazing. Distilled sugarcane juice.
Oh, come back.
That's right. Yes, I remember the person who sent that, because they sent us some other things as well.
Ooh, deglazing works a lot better when your pan is hot. This thing cools off fast, but I suppose that's induction cooking for you.
Well, the pot should have. Oh, probably because of the cold liquor took away some of the.
That's okay.
Yeah.
This is going to make for a very nice flavor.
Oh yeah, there's some real tasty like peanut things that came with that. As
Exactly right. And the
It's like kind of like rum, a bit sweeter.
It's a let's try, guys. Never lose sight of that.
I don't really like drink a lot, but I can tell you what, that adding alcohol to your food makes it taste so much better.
It's when I found that out, when it was like, oh, do you know what improves beef stroganoff?
Red wine.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
You know what improves literally every chicken dish known to man?
White wine.
Oh yeah.
It's weird. And I realized when I did that, I was like, oh, wait, this is that grown-up flavor that I taste in food sometimes when I go to eat at a much fancier restaurant.
Do you know what?
I'm eating like an adult.
Do you know what improves cranberry sauce if you're gonna make it?
I don't.
Port or sherry.
Oh, that would make sense.
Oh my God, Beej, it's like next level tasty.
Huh. Like as you're making it, like as you're boiling it, I'm assuming.
Yes.
You don't just add it in at the end kind of deal.
No. If
No.
you make your cranberry sauce from scratch. Like, I was like, I need to add something. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Remember the rest of our garlic?
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to make sure everything gets garlicky. I don't want to do only half my vegetables with garlic.
Try Grand Marnier in your cranberry sauce. That would give it some orange, wouldn't it?
I mean, you put orange peel in cranberry sauce when you're making it anyhow.
So I guess if you don't have any orange peel, maybe you'll be like, well, shit, I don't have any, but I have this bottle of Grand Marnier.
Throw it in.
And my in-laws are here in 25 minutes, so...
So the nice thing is, like, this part is already cooked. That's very tasty.
Do we need to cover it, keep it warm?
Nope.
Good. I'm going to have that right there.
You got a little bit of the alcohol taste. It's just
Just a little.
vegetables that are all cooked together, though.
No.
That's nice. Maybe a bit more salt, but I'll add that at the end.
I have some wine from an office Christmas party. I have no idea what to do with it, and upon saying that, I'm not confident enough to use it in cooking. If you're making stews, or any, because you're like, I don't know what to do with this wine, and let's say it's red wine, if you're making a stew or something that has like beef or has, like red meat really is kind of the way to go with that. Yeah, just pour yourself like a half glass and just add that to it and see if it actually adds a taste you like to it or not. Maybe don't even, you don't have to go hard with it, but just see if you like what happens. You don't have to feel, don't feel afraid of screwing something up so bad. Like, you don't have to add the whole bottle, obviously, right?
Nope.
Look what we did. We added just a few splashes here and there. I gotta buy some different cooking wines, though.
I tend to just like buy wine for people coming over, and then when there's leftover wine, I'm like, good.
And you have wine to cook with.
Yeah.
Yeah, beer is good. If you're making like chili and stuff, people like to put beer in that. I think different beers for different occasions, though, sometimes. Like, maybe you don't want to like pour anything hoppy in something you want a nice round flavor for, but...
Well, sort of depends. Most people tend to advise cooking with like a darker beer, because when you cook, a lot of the flavor goes away. And actually, like the hoppy IPAs and stuff have a fairly delicate flavor profile. Because what you should be tasting in a good IPA is not hops.
It's everything but the hops.
You should be tasting the flavor of the hops, and that stuff, like the sort of aromatics that should be coming out of that are just like grapefruit and coriander and citrus and stuff like that. And if you dump that in, you're probably going to overpower it. But if you do like a dark beer, then it's like a richer, maltier, all over flavor, and it will stand up to your food better once the alcohol cooks out. A good dark beer and chili, yep. Whiskey goes in a glass. Stout and beef stew is good. Beer bratwurst is good stuff, yep.
ELZ mentions, how good is an Instant Pot? And that's a good question.
I don't know, I don't have one.
I don't have one yet either. Well, and what's dumb is that
Ian has one and he likes it.
I keep meaning to get one, or he has a stovetop pressure cooker, I think. Is what he has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what he's got. I
I
thought
thought
he
he
did.
had like an actual like electric pressure cooker.
Maybe he does. But yeah, I've been thinking about getting one, and I saw an 8-quart Instant Pot at Canadian Tire for like $125, and I was like, that is the cheapest I've seen the really big ones go for. Maybe I should buy it. And then I went online and I looked, and I'm like, oh, that's like the previous model. That's not the Duo. And I'm like, what's the difference? And it's like, well, this one costs a little more, and this one has this feature, and this one. I'm like, and then I got mad and just closed the tab.
Okay, here's why I'm resistant to the pressure cooker thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to cook with a pressure cooker, and it is like a thing you got to learn. And any kitchen gadget that requires you to learn new ways to cook, I think has a lot of.
There's a lot of room for like resistance because
Yes.
you're like, do I have the time?
Resistance is the perfect word for this.
Yeah.
Am I going to use this, or am I just going to be like, alternately, I don't care. Alternately, it's 9 o'clock and I just got home from work and I'm tired and hungry and I already know how to saute.
So the benefit to me is that even if I didn't use it to make like a lot of pressure cooker dishes, I would use it to make 15-minute rice.
Yeah, but rice takes 20 minutes to make, Beej.
No, not my rice cooker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do stovetop rice.
See, and I don't bother. It's like, no, I'm gonna put this in a thing. Rather, I have Heather make the rice. She puts everything together. We start the whole process, and then while that's going, I cook. And it's like, if I could just come in and be like, we're gonna dump the rice in here, and it's gonna be done in like 10, 15 minutes, because brown rice as well. So
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Because brown rice takes an eon. This is like one large chunk of like cabbage heart that I keep trying to break up, but it's not going to, so I'm getting rid of it.
all right.
Because nobody wants a mostly raw chunk of cabbage. And yes, I did just pull that out of a hot pan with my fingers. I made muffins with Penelope today and just like took them out of the oven. When you cook enough, suddenly you just don't feel. You just give yourself asbestos fingertips and you don't feel things anymore.
Apparently, it doesn't matter if you buy the budget model or the full-on deluxe model. They're still both really good. Cool. Thank you, everybody. I will keep that in mind.
All right, look at this. Vegetables, nicely cooked down. If you were doing this at home and you had a pan that was big enough or you weren't making such a huge amount, but I was like, whatever, I'm not going to bring this cabbage in and use half of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this at the moon base and eat it as my lunch tomorrow.
Cool.
Like this is going to live here and I'm going to eat it. And I'm going to be very happy about it.
I'm glad you told me that now, so I don't just go whole ham on it.
I mean, you can have some too.
I
Like
appreciate that.
we're
We're both going to try to eat a little bit tonight. But
we're both going to have dinner.
yeah.
So this is looking like fairly cooked.
This is vegetarian. There will not be going ham.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Be going tofu ham substitute.
That's right. Tofam.
That was a very thick chunk of cabbage.
Yeah, Instagibbon says, you guys are reminding me that I should actually get an apron instead of wearing bacon the rest of the day. And the thing is, I don't wear an apron when I cook at home unless I am frying something. So, yeah, get an apron when you're frying something. That's great, but
Okay,
yeah.
I'm done with that. Beej,
Yes.
taste this chard. Doesn't that have a lovely flavor?
It's really good. Did you salt that at all?
It's salt and butter and garlic. Swiss chard is delicious.
It's really good.
Go find it at your grocery stores. It's not expensive and it tastes amazing.
Well, when you cook it, and a lot of the bitterness goes away. There's a little tang to it, but
There's a little tang. It's got wonderful. Swiss chard is honestly like I just started eating it like this, like maybe like a few months ago, and it's one of my favorite new vegetable pickups. It's awesome.
All right.
I think where can I leave this to sit? Probably just still here.
Is it going to be off? Cool. Yeah, probably be fine to put it there then.
Oh, what a feast! A vegetable-y feast. Garlic and a little bit of booze, even better. And yum. All right, this is the good stuff. But you know what makes everything better is cheese.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
How would you cheese this?
I'm going to be crumbling some cheese over, and you go, like there's just a little like this bit of cabbage just has like a little bit of like crispiness to it because it had some. It's got that caramelized flavor from the bottom of the pan. So good. All right, so here's my vegetable melange.
Nice.
Let's say I want to do. This is a lot of food, so I'm gonna make like 5 wells, I think.
That way
5
they're kind
eggs.
of all spaced from each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is just to give myself room to make eggs. I think it's hard to see what I'm doing here, but I'm making like 5 little indents. But first, the cheese. All right, cheese. Originally, this recipe called for feta, which I have. I have a big thing of feta at home, but it's unopened.
Okay.
And what I have here is some boursin, which I actually received for Christmas and have done a very poor job of eating. So I think it's either expired or about to expire. Turns out, by the way, if you let cheese expire in your fridge, what's going to happen to it? It's going to get more cheesy?
Or grow mold.
Yeah, or it will grow obvious mold.
And not the good cheese mold, the hairy green mold.
You can scrape that off.
Yeah, that's generally what I do. Is if I have
just eventually you don't actually have any cheese left once you've scraped everything off.
Yeah, but I do. But yeah, I noticed that too. It's like if I've got a big block of cheese and I'm like 2/3 the way through it, and all of a sudden, oh shit, there's mold growing. It's like I strip that out. I wash my hands really good. I strip it out. I cut the mold off. I put it in a brand new plastic bag and put it back in the fridge. And I'm like, I got maybe 2 days on that max before it starts to go again. And then I make something that needs cheese.
Yeah, mac and cheese.
It's like my
grilled cheese.
My mild cheddar is now old cheddar.
Yeah,
correct.
My old cheddar is almost ancient. It's almost sharp cheddar. God, I like sharp cheddar.
Oh, me too.
Oh. I bought some 2-year
We got
aged.
Penelope onto medium cheddar.
Really? Oh, good. I bought these bricks of 2-year aged sharp cheddar, and I would, because I couldn't eat them fast enough, I just ended up throwing them in my freezer, and then I'd pull them out and end up eating them anyway. But then I forgot about one that I left in the fridge that I hadn't touched in about a year, and that thing had to go.
The dang skeleton says, you can't do that. The mold put his roots through that stuff. I've been eating it for years.
Yeah. I haven't ended up with a problem. I mean, a visible problem.
I might give you food poisoning if you ate enough
I guess
cheese
it's
mold.
fair, yeah.
Can you get me a paper towel?
Yes.
I figured
A really soft cheese can go bad on you as a whole, but
yes. So this is herb and garlic boursin, which I have crumbled over, and it is delicious. I don't recommend licking cheese off your fingers, but we don't have a sink here. Isn't that good shit, Beej?
That's really good.
That's really good. Feta is very good in this because it's nice and salty.
Do you want this out or put it away?
You can put it away. Okay. It's nice and salty, and it sort of like holds up well to the intense flavor of this dish. But I figure herb and garlic boursin, as it is something I have, it is something I need to use. That's the theme of this recipe. Whoops.
That which you need to use.
It will do just fine because cheese makes everything taste better, and the type of cheese does not really. It's not as important as you think it is. So I think you can see maybe on the overhead camera, I'm trying to be careful and not get egg onto our carpet.
I realize
So
that.
I'm cracking very gently. You can see on the overhead now that the eggs are basically staying where I put them because I've put these little wells in. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
That might catch
Because you know when you crack an egg, sometimes like a big plop goes on the floor and you're like, oh, I'll just wipe that up.
No.
This is a carpeted area,
Yeah.
so I'm being a lot more cautious.
Right, I was going to suggest that we get like a big tarp for Tinker Tailor.
Oh, what a good idea.
Not for just but the way we like crunch, 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 crunch.
Could you salt and pepper this? Because I've
You're
been
now
cracking eggs, and it's not. And eggs are one of the things that will give you food
all
poisoning.
over?
All over.
Okay, say when.
That looks great. Now you've covered the whole surface in pepper. Great.
Good.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break and set up our oven and set that to bake until our eggs get set and delicious. And while we're doing that, I'm going to show you guys how to make rice pudding, which is very fast and easy and delicious.
Good. Great.
Yay!
Yay.
This is like a non-tomatoey shakshuka. Yeah, this is like a green one. This is adapted from a recipe I found online, but I've made some changes, like adding better, more delicious vegetables and different seasoning.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Let's
All
take
right.
that break.
See you guys in like 5 minutes. Gotta go wash our hands. We're back. So here's what we got. We got our toaster oven set up over there on a piece of wood, so it's not on
The carpet.
the carpet or a surface we want burned. And we have our egg dish ready to go. Realistically, if you're doing this at home, you would have been preheating your oven while sauteing, and then you just slide it in. We did not do that. So while we were waiting, let's talk about rice pudding. How often have you made food and ended up with this? A Tupperware container that has a random amount of leftover rice.
Yeah.
All the time,
All
right?
the time, actually.
All the
yeah.
time. You've got like half a cup, 1 cup, maybe 1.5 cups of rice. I know for a fact this is quite a bit of rice because I had to make rice for this and I made too much, but that's okay. Actually, it didn't all fit in my Tupperware container, so I ended up with my own random amount of leftover rice. But I know because this is a...
So you have leftover rice?
Yeah. But I know for a fact this is 4 cups of rice, which is a lot of rice, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right, here's the deal. Here's a big pan. How much rice should you put in? How much rice do you have left over?
So just really put all of it in,
Yeah.
because this is going to be a lot based on eye.
This is entirely an eyeball recipe, but it's a very forgiving eyeball recipe. What's the worst thing that can happen, right?
Yeah.
So the idea here is that this is already cooked
Cold rice.
Cold rice.
So like, and day old is kind of the way you want to go slightly. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be
No,
like.
it doesn't have to be day old. You could
It doesn't
do
have to be
this
dry.
if you had leftover rice from dinner and you're like, no, I still want dessert, and I'm up for eating more rice. Do it.
Okay.
So you got your people don't eat all your rice. Sometimes you end up with too much rice. How much rice? Some rice. Did you cool the rice in that container? Well, not a little bit, maybe. Unfortunately, I tried to get it to cool, but then I made it this afternoon, but then I had to put it in a container to take to Tinker Tailor.
Yeah.
No one's gonna die.
And so you're using 1% or 2%
I'm
milk.
using 2% milk because the leftovers are going into the fridge here for
Right.
people to put in their coffee.
But you don't have to use. You could. The more milk fat, maybe the better, but not necessarily, because most milks will just come to that.
I use what the milk I have in the fridge, and
Sure.
I drink 2% milk at home, so that's how much 2% milk.
I'll scandalize everybody here and say that I make white sauces using skim milk.
You can.
You can. It takes a long time,
Oh yeah.
but you can make them.
So this is unfortunately I'm showing you adding white on white, so it's like a little
adjust that lighting now a little bit.
hard to see. But what I'm doing is I'm adding enough milk here. So my rice is, because there's starch in rice. So what I'm doing is I'm adding enough milk to sort of like get the rice into a sauce, but not too much sauce. Like, so I guess, because I know this is a 2 liter of milk, I guess I just added
500, roughly.
Yeah, 2 cups. 2 cups. I think that looks pretty good. Now, are you a raisins in your rice pudding kind of person?
I don't like rice pudding.
Oh, well, you're gonna
Actually, let's say this. I've never had rice pudding I've enjoyed.
Oh, well, I think homemade rice pudding is a lot better. I mean,
Good.
if you said no to the raisins thing, I'm actually going to add just a touch more.
This is like Ian and his eggnog thing. He's like, but everybody likes eggnog, and I'm like, no, from off camera. And he's like, well, you know, people who matter like eggnog, and I'm going to make the best eggnog you've ever had. And then I did have the best eggnog I've ever had when he made it from scratch. So I'm interested to see how this works out.
Yeah, so if you said no to raisins, you're wrong.
I mean, maybe you'd like other dried fruit.
Cranberries.
Yeah, I
Cranberries are
love
great.
dried cranberries. But
You could do dried cranberries. But you know what? Raisins, I feel like are an underappreciated fruit snack. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't actually even turned this on yet. And I'm just making sure that everything is fine.
you just want kind of a, I don't want to say slurry, but that's the word that just I was
Yes.
thinking of.
All right, let's turn this on.
Okay.
Cook. 700 for now.
Also, that's wattage for anyone who's wondering. It shows us in wattage what the thing is going to,
Yeah.
because it's like 300, 500, 700, 1,000, 1,200. It goes up quite a distance.
Okay, so I have some rice and I have enough milk, and I'm going to say it's about 2.5 to 3 cups of milk to sort of get my rice moving. And if I move the rice to the side of the pan, then a trail of milk is left at its weight. And I've added, I would say 2 and a bit handfuls of raisins.
So you don't want to see the bottom of the pan right now, obviously, when you scrape. That's the idea.
No,
You want it to fill in behind.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Otherwise, you're not going to have any pudding in your rice pudding.
Right.
Now, sugar. Sugar is a tricky thing because everybody likes their rice pudding different. I'm also going to add a bunch of vanilla. Vanilla gives the rice pudding its flavor.
That's about a tablespoon, I think.
Yeah, about a tablespoon of vanilla.
So 15 milliliters.
But, you know, if you don't like vanilla, you don't have to. You could do a vanilla pod if you're very fancy. The other thing I'm going to add is some cinnamon.
Oh.
Now I have a really big bag of cinnamon here, which is maybe not the best way to buy a spice because you want it to stay fresh, but I use a lot of cinnamon because cinnamon is good in sweet and savory cooking. I love cinnamon. So cinnamon is not going to waste in my house. We'll put it that way. Orange zest is nice in rice pudding.
Do you want to use one of the spoons?
Oh, there's a measuring spoon.
Absolutely,
How quaint.
I
I don't
do.
usually do this. Let's start with a quarter of a teaspoon.
All right. To see if that actually looks right to you.
That's probably okay.
Okay.
If you want to take a while, you can do a cinnamon stick. You don't want it to taste overwhelming, but a little bit of cinnamon is really going to enhance the flavor.
And by that, like if you have a cinnamon stick, it's basically throw the stick in and just let it sit there until it's cooked for a while and then just pull it out at the end kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, you might want to, like, break your cinnamon stick in half if you're not planning on taking too long to cook your rice pudding.
Sure, sure.
But a quarter of a teaspoon looks good, so maybe if you're making less, maybe add an eighth. But if you really like cinnamon, go nuts. There's no right or wrong amount of cinnamon to add.
There's versions of rice pudding that I've had at like Indian places that have like cardamom and stuff in them too, which is a slightly different direction to go, but also very tasty.
All right, so what I have here, this is 2 ounces because I know how much this Tupperware container has of sugar, which is not a lot of sugar, but think about it this way. So not much cinnamon. No, not too much cinnamon because cinnamon...
Scales really fast.
Yeah.
You can definitely get overwhelmed by the amount of cinnamon in something.
Yeah, exactly. You can always add more.
Yeah.
So, but this is 2 ounces of sugar, which is not a lot of sugar, but it's, I didn't actually have a lot of sugar at home. But the thing is, I don't think rice pudding should be overwhelmingly sweet. I have the sinking suspicion, though, this is not enough sugar because 2 ounces would be, see, 30 mils to an ounce. So that's about a quarter cup. But I mean, you can't really compare weights and volumes, so don't really think of it like that. Because weight and volume don't interface that way.
Yep.
But it's about a quarter cup, and I think what I'd probably rather do is a third of a cup. So I'm going to taste this later, and if I don't think it's sweet enough, we do have this chocolate that people sent in, so we can make chocolate rice pudding. And that'll sweeten it up. Was that planned? No. But
We have
you know
a
what's
ton of
delicious?
saltwater taffy out there.
Yeah.
Chocolate? No.
I mean, we could do that too. That seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, I have some actual like cinnamon sticks that I would use and like when I like do my Moroccan cooking and stuff like this, but this is fine for making a bunch of rice pudding. And this I will share with everybody. You think our oven's up to temperature yet?
I want it to be.
Let's put our vegetables in and see.
I'll tell you one thing, it feels very hot over here.
Great, throw it in.
Yeah.
The vegetables are still warm. They're holding their temperature well.
Yeah.
So much vegetable matter. This is great.
Drop it, Beej.
The vegetables are warm enough that the egg is probably mostly cooked by now.
It is absolutely raw.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Still sitting there.
Still sitting there raw and sad.
Hey Siri, 6-minute timer?
Oh, a 6-minute timer? No.
How long do you think?
12 minimum.
All right.
Because I don't know if the oven's up to temperature.
Well, let's give it 10, and then we'll check on it. Whenever I'm cooking at home, I set my timers low because I want to be reminded, hey, you were supposed to be paying attention to something. Not, this is when it's done. It was more of always a thing for me. It's like, I need to go back and look at that because I should stop playing Animal Crossing and actually cook.
Yeah. So here's the other thing that I'm going to add here. If you are making rice at home, I know some people add salt to their rice.
Okay.
Some people do.
Like in the cooking process.
In the cooking process. I did not add any salt to this rice because I knew I was making a sweet dish with it. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Because salt brings out the flavor and everything. Obviously, you don't want salty rice pudding. But not having salt would be a mistake. We'll put it that way. So we're going to add some salt to our rice pudding. And then I will probably It's starting, it looks like there's some steam coming off now, so I'm just actually going to taste the liquidy part.
That's good.
Gauge for sugar and salt and vanilla. Oh no, that's perfect. I don't think it needs any more sugar.
Nice.
But I don't eat a lot of sugar, so food doesn't seem as sweet to me as it does to other people. So add as much sugar as you feel like. But like milk has got lactose, and the ose in lactose is a different kind of sugar. So milk is sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now people are like, oh, I hate it when you leave the salt out of sweet things like cookies. If you are baking and you're using salted butter, you probably don't need to add very much salt. Rice porridge is amazing. Rice pudding is gross. Homemade rice pudding is very good. So now we're gonna I don't wanna, cause this is milk, so you can't cook this too quickly. But you can basically cook it with a minimal amount of supervision.
Well, we absolutely do have his time here, so you don't need to worry about that.
If you look though, Beej, and if you peer over, you can see that there's some bubbles, and the cinnamon flakes are starting to move on their own, which means this is starting to come up to a nice temperature.
Oh my God, they're alive!
Yeah.
And you want to add the
brownie in motion.
So, yeah, and there's steam coming off now. And the important thing is you need to add the raisins at the beginning, because you want the raisins to be in the sugary, milky water and to cook for as long as possible, so they get, instead of being like a dried out raisin, which is not very good,
It'd be like a nice wet raisin.
A wet raisin,
Yeah.
which is basically a grape plus.
Yeah. It's a grape that actually has achieved something with its life.
Oh yeah, it's great. But then how are we going to turn this into pudding? Oh, well, I mean, here's the deal. There's a very easy way to thicken these sort of things, and that's with eggs.
Ah, yes.
Aww.
Natural emulsifier.
We're gonna make a custard and it's gonna have some eggs, but don't panic, because this is the perfect way for you to learn how to make a custard.
Oh, good.
Because here's the deal. Custard, you gotta cook an egg, and you gotta cook it quickly, but not too quickly, otherwise you get scrambled eggs in your food, and oh no, custard is so stressful, I couldn't possibly make one. What's gonna happen if you fuck up making a custard when you're already making rice pudding?
Right.
You're not gonna see the egg because it's in rice pudding. It'll just look like more rice.
A bunch of other little bits.
There'll be a bunch of other little white bits mixed in. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. There's no egg. Egg is like what brings this up to the next level, because it does make it custardy and creamy and thick, because there's a little bit of starch in the rice, so as this cooks it will start to thicken up, and as you can see it looks a little thicker, right, but not a lot. So we're gonna take, I liked having that paper towel there. I was a little bit more confident
Do we
about
want that
breaking the
back?
egg. No, it's fine. I only need one egg. We're gonna take one egg. Where'd our slop bowl go?
Oh, right.
No, get rid of it.
We'll just... No, that's all your used food. Hang on a second.
There we go. Dealt with. It's over here now.
Okay.
Paper towel.
I'll have to fetch that again. Because, I mean, we'll get that at the next break, because I'll need that.
Ooh,
but
it's just starting to simmer.
it smells wonderful.
Oh, cinnamon and
You can't smell that
vanilla
at home.
and raisin.
But you could if you actually started making your own right now. Then you would know how it smells.
Oh, what if you don't have enough rice? Who cares?
Just make custard. Just make custard and raisins.
Now, if you have a very little amount of rice, like I'm talking like half a cup, it might be kind of eggy tasting, right? When you add the egg. But this is perfect. You could do it with less rice than this, and you'd still add one egg. So you got an egg, and we're gonna beat the egg. And I know people are like, okay, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, but how are you going to keep it from just cooking immediately? Well, one, eggs are a little bit more forgiving than you think. Yeah, you could, and maybe a whisk would be better, but this is fine.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some, first I'm going to turn this down to 500 because I don't want this to cook too quickly.
So this is about just above low heat.
Yeah, this is like...
Low medium?
I would say this is probably, I want it on like a 3 on your stove, just to be as safe as possible. And what I'm going to do is, oh, I brought a spoon here, is we're going to, yeah, I know, is we're going to get some of our cooking liquid, and we're going to introduce it to our egg. Yes, thank you, I know you're not conducting heat, when I have the pan off. I wish I had brought like a 1/4 cup measure or something like that. Because this is not ideal, but you know, it's doable. And so what I'm doing is this is not going to cook my egg, so I'm not too concerned about it. You normally don't want to do it this like painfully and slowly. So, and so now I have a much diluted egg, diluted with our warm milk, which is going to equalize the temperature. Oh, this is still boiling. This is still too hot. Right down. Because I don't want this to cook quickly. I want this to cook slowly. And look how much, because I have taken out some of the liquid, but not that much. So look how much it's thickened up just from the starches in the rice. And so what I want to do is I want to equalize the temperature between my egg. And so I don't want to add a cold egg to a hot pan. I want to add a warm egg. And that's actually going to buy me more time in the cooking. But I am going to make sure that this is not actively boiling when I add the eggs. That is a recipe for disaster. You want it cooking very slowly. You can always make it warm again to finish it off. This is a patience is key kind of recipe. Okay, that's enough liquid and enough egg. Like I said, we only really need 1 egg here. It's pretty straightforward.
And so people are saying this is tempering.
This is tempering, correct.
Yeah.
Tempering my egg. Okay, that's warm, but it's... I'm turning it off for a second just because I don't think I have a ton of control. Like, I think just... This is a very hot cooking element, I've noticed. So, like, not like at home when I do this, I don't have to, like, take it right off the stove. But if you're, like, a little concerned about it, take your pot off the stove, put it on the other element, let it cool down a bit, stir it around to get some of the heat out. Because you don't want to get that egg in there and just have it cook right away. All right, I'm not seeing any bubbles coming up. There's no actual boiling happening right now, so I'm feeling confident enough to add my egg.
That is not my timer.
All right, so you guys ready? Overhead camera time. 1, 2, 3. Whoop, in it goes. And then stir fast. Stir really, 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 really fast. See, it's not cooking. There's still lots of yellow in there. That's probably fine. And turn you back on now. Not to that level. 300, maybe. The lowest. 300 watts. All right, we made it there. I was a little worried because it seemed like it was going a little hot, but it's okay. Carbonara. You want warm eggs whenever possible to prevent cooking early and scrambling browning. Yeah, there's a reason my eggs are out on the counter too. Like, don't do this with an egg from your fridge and just crack it in there and it's fine. No, you want put your egg out on the counter, and then do the tempering where you add some of the warm milk to it, and then add it back in. And the reason I'm doing 1 egg is because the egg will thicken it up nicely and give it a rich texture, but it won't make it taste eggy. And so sometimes if you make this with, like, if I had done 2 eggs, it might end up a little bit eggy. So you just want a little bit of egg just to thicken your custard. Because what you're doing is you're turning this from a slurry of rice and raisins and cinnamon and sugar, and maybe even in like a thicker milk, like a cream. And what you're doing is you're now turning this into rice and raisins and cinnamon and sugar and custard. And custard is divine, and it has a velvety mouthfeel that actually really elevates the rice pudding. And so now, this is like a little bit hands-on, but it's really worth it. I'm basically just stirring because I really don't want to have this like start turning into scrambled eggs on the bottom of the pan. I just want this to thicken slowly and evenly. Under nice low heat.
Someone was asking about using just egg whites, but I'm pretty sure that does not work in this circumstance. Like, isn't the yolk a part of the custard process?
Yeah, Here, oh, I mean, I tried making pineapple custard once. Didn't work out. That would be the acid in the pineapple, almost certainly. Yeah, and so now if we go back to the overhead camera, it's a subtle difference. But now look what happens when I'm moving that rice around. I'm leaving trails, and you can see the bottom of the pan because the egg has thickened it. Oh my God, that's great. Maybe it's a little raw on top.
Do you want it a little longer?
Maybe leave it like 2 minutes.
You bet.
That cooked faster than I thought it would. What was or was that 10 minutes?
That was 10 minutes.
Oh, and what did I say? 12?
Yeah.
You're just gonna watch it?
I'm gonna just set a timer for hey Siri, 2-minute timer. Because we let a lot of heat out, so it's got to come back up to temperature.
Yeah.
But I'll check it again in 2 minutes and we'll see where we're at. Ooh. Got up too
Apparently
fast.
it's the enzymes in the pineapple that mess with thickeners, not the acids.
Yeah.
Well,
That's why when you eat pineapple, it erodes the inside of your mouth. That sucks.
I like pineapple.
I like pineapple too. But yeah, when I eat a lot of pineapple, I notice that my tongue's and the top of my mouth's all messed up.
Turns it into raw meat. Ground beef.
My mother made she's made Waikiki meatballs, which are essentially just meatballs, like onion and ground beef and whatever, right? And then in like this sweet and sour sauce with lots of pineapple juice, and they're always the most tender, delicious things. And I just thought that was like, she was just really good. She's just really good at cooking, but it was like, I thought that's what made that happen.
Right.
And it's like, no, it probably had to do more with it being cooked for a very long time, also in a lot of pineapple juice.
Right. Pineapple is very good with pork.
Yeah.
Pork and pineapple fried rice. So here's the thing. We're cooking our rice pudding. It's thickened up immensely now. If we go back to the overhead camera, you can see that. It's nice and thick.
You got a trail.
Yeah, look at that. You can see that the sauce is like coating the back of the spoon. It looks a little velvety. It's hard to tell from the overhead camera, but it really does look, it's really changed consistency. But this is egg. We don't want to eat any undercooked egg. So I'm going to wait till I can see just the slightest bubbles forming to make sure this is 100% cooked. Like I'm 99% sure it's cooked, but you don't want to eat a raw egg in this kind of format when there's a lot of sugar and stuff like that.
Nobody wants to eat a raw egg.
I mean, I want to eat an undercooked yolk for sure, but I don't want to eat undercooked whites. I'm just going to make sure this is nice and cooked before I take it off the heat and we can serve ourselves.
Rocky liked eating.
I don't know if he liked it so much as he certainly did it.
I think he just did it for the protein.
Let's have a look here.
But yeah, like I was saying with this, is if you screw up and maybe your liquid's a little bit too hot or you cook it a little bit too fast, which I'm not concerned about now at all.
I'm going to just let them sit with no
Sure.
heat.
And you get some trails of like egg white that cooked really quickly, you'll never tell because it's mixed in with this thick custard and rice. So it's a really good way of practicing what the temperature you want to get it up to is and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like if you straight up scramble, like if you make scrambled eggs in the pot and don't actually combine it together with everything, it's like people will be able to tell the difference between you have rice and scrambled eggs together.
Yeah.
But that's not what we did here.
Basically just gives you some wiggle room. I'm less concerned about it scrambling now, so I'm just going to let it cook. All right. I'm going to say I think it's probably cooked.
Oh, good.
So let's turn you off. Beej, do you want to try this delicious homemade rice pudding?
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you're game. I'm going to try it first to make sure it's okay.
Yes, please.
I guess as it cools, it'll thicken more.
It will thicken a lot more as it cools, but it's pretty good already. Not going to use that spoon. Nom 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 nom.
Got there?
Yeah, it would be better with older rice.
Just because it's like if it's like a day old, if it's dried out a little bit, or if they had time to really cool.
If it had time to really cool.
Okay.
Because the rice is still a little bit like. The rice is like a little harder than I'd want it to be, and like old rice would be a little like more broken down.
It's had time to sit there and just kind of.
It would reconstitute better in the milk. Right.
Yeah, I guess ironically, if the rice is drier, then it sucks up more of the milk and becomes.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's very good. Do you want a raisin in yours, Beej?
Sure. All right. Oh, it's really good.
Yeah. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I love rice pudding.
No, that's great. I think it was always kind of a thing where when I was younger too, that it's like you get like rice pudding or tapioca pudding and like the cups and stuff like that. And I couldn't do either of those because the idea of having pudding that had solid objects in it really threw me off.
Oh, that's really good.
It's just like I can't handle that. But yeah, rice starch is so very inoffensive as a flavor. It's not really going to get in the way of anything. Let's see how this worked out.
I'm very excited for my actual dinner because I can't have dessert for dinner.
Who says so? You're an adult. You can have dessert for dinner.
They are still a little shaky.
Oh, but that's good. You want them to be shaky. They just don't look they looked a little raw on top. Raw.
Shall I go get the torch?
No. All right, let's get the overhead camera.
We need to go that way with it. Yeah. It definitely needs to come this way.
Ah, our food is done. I'm so excited. I'm gonna eat the hell out of a plate of that. I guess I'm also gonna help you make pad thai and be your sous chef.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But that's it. That's done. Should we try it, Beej?
Yes, please.
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna actually move this over here then to get that out of the way.
Do we have a serving spoon anywhere? Probably not.
Closest thing we have is this.
Great, that'll do. Oh, these eggs are really nice. It's a little dodgy, and but the yolk didn't break.
That's good.
Fantastic. Ooh, and you can smell that rum we put in, actually. So, on the overhead, this turned into a bit of a dog's breakfast, but you can see my eggs down here. And this is the texture you want from your yolk.
Look at that.
That's what you're aiming for. So that was about 12 minutes at 375.
Yeah, without full preheat.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on it if you make it at home, I guess. Yes, please.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Oh man.
Isn't that like, you don't miss the meat?
There's a lot of like, especially with the mushrooms in there and stuff too.
Isn't that good?
That's real good.
And if you overcook the egg a bit, it's still really good.
Yeah.
It's so rich and flavorful. Oh my God, this is one of my favorite dishes, honestly. Oh yeah, this is lunch for like 4 days.
So it's kind of like, it's like an inside-out omelet, in a way.
There's way less omelet though.
There's all these really good parts of it, right? Like when it comes down to some nice vegetables and an egg and salt and pepper and butter and garlic, which are all like really good things to put into an omelet. Except that you get to enjoy all the yolk instead of with an omelet where you don't get to enjoy the yolk.
No.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh. How would you adjust question about cast iron skillet. Adjust the time at all in the oven if you're using a cast iron skillet fresh off the burner. I would be very careful, and I would do less time, because the thing is, it's really easy to overcook an egg and you can't really go back, but it's very easy to be like, I think I'm going to add more. I'm going to leave that in for another minute. So if you're doing cast iron skillet right off the burner, you crack your eggs in and then you salt and pepper and stuff like that, and the cheese just kind of all melts in and it's extra rich. So
Yeah.
I would start at I'm going to tell you to be conservative. Start at 6 minutes and then check, and then if it's like totally raw looking, 8.
Yeah.
Right? Because the cast iron skillet's going to hold so much heat, and your oven's preheated, which we didn't have here.
Yeah.
And then like if it's like, because you want it to, what you're looking for, if we can go back to the overhead camera, to get that super runny egg, which is, you can like give it a little jiggle test. And you can see that the white is completely cooked by the way it's moving as one unit. Right? There's no like...
It's not trying to escape.
Yeah. But the yolk is completely runny in these. But if you want it a little bit more cooked, what you're going to want to look is for a little bit more firmness in the jiggle. It's like a... I would, if you want to make sure you get a runny yolk, I would start at 6 minutes if your cast iron skillet hot off the stove, and then 8 minutes, and then every minute check on it till it's your desired consistency.
Yep.
So
I mean, what I like to do too when I'm making stuff is that if I've got something in the oven and I'm like I could be making anything, but even like fish sticks, right? Like breaded fish fillet or whatever. It's like I have it in the oven and I'm like, that's pretty much done. I turn the oven off and I walk away from it for another 5 or 10 minutes and just let the residual heat, even though the oven's cooling, it's like let the heat just keep cooking itself. It'll be fine.
it's basically sort of the same with resting your meat.
Yeah.
You take your meat out of the oven.
It's gonna keep cooking.
And you cover it with tin foil, and it will like, so yeah, like when you're doing like roast beef, I did a nice roast beef. I cooked it for an hour, which is, you know, for a kilogram of meat.
Yeah.
But then it rested for 15 minutes, so it was like medium on the outside and beautiful like medium rare on the inside.
Nice.
Right. But so yeah, so that is my green shakshuka sort of. It's adapted from recipe. Ooh, and if we go back to the overhead, even just having a few more minutes
To rest.
the rice pudding has thickened up. And if you make this and you're like, my rice pudding is now too thick the next day, just add some more milk, give it a swish, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's great. So yeah, that's homemade. This is using up all of the crap you have in your fridge. All you need is eggs and milk. Yay!
Yay.
And so I think we take another short break now.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to pad thai?
Pad thai.
Yay!
See if this works.
I'm so excited.
This is Superstore pad thai.
This is
Is that where the recipe came
This
from?
came from a superstore, but this is a sponsored dish from Erewhon rice sticks and Hui Fong sriracha hot chili sauce.
Oh, we bought Hui Fong sriracha hot chili sauce.
We
the
sure
system
did.
works.
Yep. So and I bought Erewhon rice sticks. So we're gonna see if that combined recipe actually makes a difference.
All right. Be back in a sec.
Hi,
Yo.
we're back. I didn't want to waste my delicious food.
No, definitely don't do that. You should eat your delicious food.
It's also my dinner.
Ah.
I haven't eaten anything, so.
Just realized that if I'm gonna cook my noodles as well, so we're gonna make this simple pad thai, and that's what they say is simple pad thai. So is it close to what they actually do for pad thai? I have no idea. I just have been told how it's gonna go down, and because we were doing vegetarian cooking, and also because a big brick of tofu is cheap. I just buy extra firm tofu because I really like it's a lot easier to cook with. It's like it's $2 for this brick, so I'm like, that's way
And that's
cheaper
like-
than meat.
That's like 2 meals worth of
Yeah,
protein.
absolutely. So there's lots. I mean, there's lots I can do there. So right now I'm essentially just looking at what it's telling me I need to do, and for this it's like you're gonna need half of that package of rice sticks.
Okay.
That's not a problem. I need 180 grams of firm tofu, so I'll need half of this roughly. I need 2.5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I have all my vegetable oil in here. 3 scallions, or green onions, they said. So I'm like, I mean, onions are always good. You can throw in more as far as I'm concerned, but I guess we'll just go with what I'm being told. And then 2 garlic cloves crushed. Well, I'm gonna cheat, and I'm just gonna use pre-minced garlic.
How does that hold up?
It's fine.
'Cause
It's
I've-
not as good as real garlic.
Because I bought some pre-minced ginger, because sometimes like you need like a knob of ginger, and
Yeah.
then like this ginger ends up drying out in your fridge.
Yeah.
So I just bought like the jar of ginger, and I find it is not gingery.
Yeah, it is not as gingery as if you had used
So I
actual
end up
ginger.
I had like lots,
That's what I do too.
but it beats
If I
not
cook,
having ginger
if
or
I-
having sad ginger.
I used to cook with an awful lot of ginger, and so I started buying the knobs because I'm like, I'm just going to learn how to do this, and then I started doing that, and then got to a point where it started going away and realized I was throwing out more ginger than I thought.
Yeah.
Because it just gets too dried out. So then
That's why I bought the jar of ginger.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's okay.
it'll do the job. And it's kind of like it's more expensive and it's whatever, and you may have to add more of it. And I'm like, oh, I'll deal. It'll be fine.
It's convenience because you always have ginger on hand.
Exactly. And then I need.
Sorry to sidetrack
That's
you.
okay. And then I need 2 eggs lightly beaten, which we'll get to. 2 cups of bean sprouts, which of course we bought here.
And rinsed.
And that's way more than 2 cups.
But everybody likes bean sprouts.
Everyone likes bean sprouts. We'll see how much we end up using. And then what we did not buy, because I'm not going to bother with it, is the ½ cup of fresh cilantro. And,
What?
And the 1/4 cup of roasted peanuts.
No cilantro?
No cilantro.
Beej.
Because cilantro to me tastes like soap.
But cilantro's so good.
I know, everyone loves cilantro. To me, it tastes like
No.
soap.
Me and Ian love cilantro.
Well, that's
like
fair.
me and Ian will put cilantro on things until we like vomit cilantro.
It's one of those things where I felt like, I'm like, am I going to bother buying this or not? And I'm just like, I want to try this like I would make it at home. And peanuts I would definitely do. Like, definitely would get some peanuts and crush them up and do all that kind of stuff. Heather has her braces on right now.
Oh, she can't do the nuts.
And so it's just easier for me not to cook nuts into things. So it's like I have to leave that out. And I'm like, well, I'm going to leave the cilantro out. Parsley is not a bad idea. And if I had thought about that, I could have got parsley.
no, parsley is disgusting.
I love parsley.
Parsley is gross. Cilantro is god tier.
All right.
All right. So so when you're cooking a new recipe for the first time, it's really a good idea to do exactly what Beej did and do an inventory to make sure you actually have everything and then set everything aside. Because if you're not familiar with the list of items, it's very easy to skim it and then realize halfway through that you forgot to measure something,
Exactly.
or you forgot something entirely.
Exactly.
And then you should always make a recipe as per the tin the first time you do it, because then you know what to change.
Yeah, because then you know how it tastes, and you're like, what am I actually going to fix from this? So
Yeah.
though the sauce is brown sugar, fresh lime juice, plus a few wedges for serving, and we bought an entire lime. So we're going to get what we need out of this, which is just a tablespoon. And I'm like,
Oh.
a tablespoon is like, you cut it in half, you squeeze that, and it's like, that's more than a tablespoon, it'll be fine.
Do you want me to like sous chef the sauce for
I
you?
think we
or
might,
something?
that would be really great actually.
Okay.
And then soy sauce, ½ cup of soy sauce.
Okay.
Which I brought my soy sauce, and it's probably in the fridge actually still.
Okay.
And then 3 tablespoons of ketchup, which I was like, really? And then, well, whatever. And then 3 tablespoons of sriracha.
Okay.
So equal amounts of this and this.
Okay, I
And
can do
then
that.
it says a 1/4 cup of water or broth, which is funny because when I read everything here, at no point does it say add the water or add the broth.
Really?
Yeah, I read the whole recipe and I'm like, I cannot find it. I was going through the whole thing and I'm
Maybe
like,
it's just if your sauce is a little thick.
must be.
So you don't get dehydrated while you're
I
cooking.
guess just have a drink of delicious broth. Like I even get to the bottom, it's like serve noodles with lime wedges, topped with cilantro and peanuts, and I'm like, but where do I add the broth? And I can't seem to find it. So if you
F?
if you
Okay.
see it, that'll be fine. And to cook the noodles, I am boiling a kettle full of water because we can at least I'll probably need a pot or something to do that in, and I can't do it in this. And I thought probably the easiest thing to do is just because I only have to cook for about 5 minutes. Put my amount of noodles into a big bowl, and then pour the hot water in on top of them, and just let them sit for 5 minutes. And with the oil and whatnot, give it a stir and whatnot, and be like, gonna just kind of have to let that be. It's not ideal because we only have the one burner. Normally I cook on 4 burners at home, and I'm using all of them. So
Yeah, I mean, do we want to start the noodles then?
we could start the noodles now because this is probably, it says it takes about 20 minutes to prep and then 15 minutes to go. So the water's boiling. We could probably get the sauce started, and I
Yeah.
can start prepping
I'll do the
chopping
sauce.
the ingredients.
Well, you're chopping your, you need, I mean, it's really just the tofu and the green onions.
Yeah, shouldn't be.
I don't even think there's 20 minutes of prep time here.
I'm a little surprised by how much it said too. I was like, that seems like a lot for prep time, but
So chat has brought up that apparently Thai ketchup is different than American ketchup.
yep,
Well,
I bet that's true.
Well, it says ketchup. It doesn't.
And this is a recipe for the American public. So
Yeah.
presumably they know what they're talking. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, you used the wrong ketchup.
Exactly. Let's get those leaves out of there.
Oh, this brown sugar is a little dry, Beej.
Oh yeah, very dry.
That's okay. I'll be on sauce duty.
Thank you. Maybe that's what we'll use the water for, is reconstituting the brown sugar.
It's not unsavourably dry.
No.
So I'm noticing there's a lot of sugar in this sauce. But I think there's a lot of sugar in pad thai sauce anyhow.
Yeah, it's a very sweet dish, which
it's what makes it
surprised me,
delicious.
right? Like that's the thing. I was surprised when I found out it because I was like, Thai food is always like coconut milk and lots of chili peppers. And somebody's like, well, you should try pad thai. Why? What does it taste like? Peanuts and sugar. I'm like, oh, damn, I could totally do that.
5 tablespoons of brown sugar. Okay.
I feel like you could use, like, if you didn't want the peanut chunks, couldn't you use like peanut butter or something instead?
I have. I've actually. You could even use some peanut, like chunky peanut butter is actually not a bad way to go with that if you need to improvise.
I always make my peanut sauce with chunky peanut butter.
Yeah, then it's like a great idea for
Because we
peanut
buy chunky
sauce.
peanut butter anyhow, right? So I
Yeah.
don't want to buy separate peanut butter for
But like,
cooking.
and chunky peanut butter is okay with the braces and stuff.
The chunks are so tiny. Like if I ground up the peanuts, I probably get to a point where, like, if I had some actual peanuts or whatever, it would probably be okay. I guess I could have bought like a little bag of chopped peanuts while I was in the store, and that might have been okay. But the last pad thai that we've eaten, the sauce that we buy from the store, which Heather likes, because it's like she's had it before, has very few peanuts in it, and it's very weird. Like, because it's like it has some peanuts in it, but has very few peanuts in it. So now I need a little bowl to put this in, and I have a little bowl right here. So let's just move all that into here. And if we want more green onions, and Heather will be happy because she loves green onions. So,
Oh, I love green onions too.
yeah, me too. I used to eat them in the sandbox behind our house.
Is that why you did that thing when we were shooting the Krog and Torg thing?
Yeah.
And you just like ate that
like-
onion that made your
like-
face swell up?
I was like, wild onions? Yeah, chomp, bite into it, and I had an allergic reaction to it during one of the shoots.
It's in loading time.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that was way too oniony. Holy shit. Yeah.
And
Let's do
that's how
that.
Beej learned not to just eat random things
Yeah.
that he found on the ground.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's my 5 tablespoons of brown sugar. Ketchup also has a lot of sugar in it. That's why I'm like, this recipe has a lot of sugar in it. I am a very keen observer of the amount of sugar that goes into my food.
Should check that out.
White vinegar, water, salt. Stevia.
Yeah,
Oh, but how does it taste?
not like normal ketchup, but I really like it. I've gotten used to eating it. You have to like stevia in order to like this stuff.
I don't like stevia.
There is another one that has sucralose in it,
It's not as bad as I thought it was.
right?
That's not bad.
So, things I've learned about chopping with a knife. I mean, obviously find a knife that you like. Make sure you get a very sharp knife. My knives got dull, and we, of course, sharpened them on Tinker Tailor last time.
Do that to my knives.
And I forgot to, I should actually, I forgot to do this when Kathleen was chopping, and it occurred to me too late to interfere. We have non-slip sheets for our cutting boards, and we could have had one on the thing while you were cutting.
might have made my life a little easier, but it wasn't really that bad.
Yeah, so make sure you're on a stable surface when you're cutting with a knife, obviously. I didn't really know how to chop onions properly, and I watched a guy doing speed chopping, and because I was like, this looks really interesting. It was a guy in France who was learning how, in like this Asian country, how this guy was able to chop like purple onions incredibly fast. So he bought like 25 pounds of onions and he was just going nuts trying to learn how the thing worked, and it was a very cool video. And so how I've kind of learned and modified and got some taste of this is that obviously you do this, you move along, you don't have to pinch it too close, but I love the bridge grip for whenever I'm chopping anything because I have no depth perception, and it's harder for me to control in 3 dimensions where all my stuff's going to be. So I do the bridge grip and chop my things down, and then when I'm cutting across, I anchor my knife generally at one end, and I let the blade rock.
Wow, your knife's a lot sharper than the one I was using.
Yeah, those IKEA knives might even need a sharpen as well. And then I saw Kathleen do something once that I was like, that's a great idea.
Oh.
You get to the end of your
Yeah,
of your
when
thing.
you're like, how do I do this?
Yeah, how do I do the last bit? And you just flop it on its edge and you just cut it that way.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
That's I learned that by watching Jacques Pepin,
Ah.
who is an amazing knife skills guy. If you just want to be mesmerized, you can watch Jacques Pepin cut things.
Don't get too caught up in trying to make stuff.
I'm gonna go find your soy sauce.
Thank you. It's a great big bottle that's got a beige top on it in the fridge.
Okay.
It's like a liter. But
Come
yeah,
with me on a journey through the moon base.
if you
or
rock
Paul could.
if you rock the knife, and I'm going slow on purpose because I don't have much room to cut with. I have a butcher block at home that's about like, you can't see. I have a butcher block at least like this big at home, so I have lots of room to work at home, and I just move stuff around. But yeah, if you keep it like that and you rock like that, it's actually a very good way to just kind of keep doing this. Volknor brings up the pinch grip, which is like this, and maybe you can see in the overhead. You're not holding it by the whole handle. You're actually moving ahead of it. I've seen people actually do it with their finger out in front, like you would if you were playing a violin. I used to play violin, that's why I know about that. You pinch the blade like this, and you work the blade. Use your hand on the back of the thing. And I imagine Volkner will probably explain it a lot better than I can, because that's probably not exactly the thing. But I've seen lots of chefs do it where they do that as well, where they choke up on the knife a little bit to have more control. I haven't learned how to do that or really gotten comfortable with it, so I don't do it.
Playing a violin with a chef's knife is the real trick.
Yeah. So this recipe does not call for a yellow onion. I brought one anyway and chopped one anyway because I love onion. So we're going to try to work that into the mix.
What did I just say about like?
We're not going to use all this.
Make as
recipe. So we'll yeah. Or I might just opt to not do. Well, we'll see how much stuff we get in the pan. If I can't get that onion in there, then I'm not going to add it.
Yeah.
Beej is flaunting the recipe.
Yeah, just out on my own. I need another bowl to put this in, or a plate. There's a plate.
Hey, is there another fork over there?
There is another fork over.
Great.
No, there's 2 knives and a spoon.
Yeah. I need like a whisk or something for making the sauce.
All right, I got a whole onion, and if not, I'll just put that in a baggie and take it home.
That's true. It keeps.
It does. Not ideal, this, but I'll do this now anyway.
Could you roll that lime around on the counter a few times and then slice it in half for me?
Oh, yeah. You need to get some stuff off your hands?
I need to get the lime juice. And if you need to get juice out of a lime or a lemon, if you roll it back and forth, that's probably more than enough.
Good.
It helps
Slice it in
release
half?
the juice from the inside because you're crushing it up a bit.
Okay. So that knife just went through an onion, but it's not going to make a difference.
Well, whatever.
Should you be putting the noodles in to do their thing? Or
I'll
do
have
they
to
not
do the
take
noodles
long?
here soon, but yeah, once we get everything, like once we are mise en place, then we can probably get there. I have a whole bunch of tofu water now that I'll have to deal with in a minute. I'll just leave it here.
Delicious tofu water.
Do we have those? We do. Pardon me. I don't know how to cook with tofu until recently, and I probably still don't know how to cook with tofu properly. So I've just kind of been dealing with it the best I can. I went to Kenji Lopez Alt's site to Serious Eats and was reading about how you cook with tofu. And one of the things they say is when you take your tofu out of the package, you should try to get as much water as you can because obviously you want to fry it.
You can't make something wet crispy.
Yeah. So you try to get as much as you can out of it. And that's mostly just been what I've been trying to do is I buy this stuff and then I take out as much liquid as I can. And it seems to work. Like that's what I'm finding is that it all seems to work ultimately. It's kind of what you want. So I'm going to fry the tofu first and then we're going to add well, let's have a look at that recipe one more time, because you can add normal tofu, like in firm tofu, fried tofu, diced, heat it, add the scallion whites and the garlic, cook it and stir constantly until fragrant, add the tofu and stir.
They say 2 minutes to fry the tofu, which I don't believe.
I don't believe it either.
No, that seems like it would just be like lightly kissed.
Yeah, no, I like mine crispy. Like I like it brown on more than one side.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching me getting that lime juice out, you notice I like squeezed into my hand. That's just to catch seeds, because you don't want to have to go fishing around to get the seeds. So if you're like squeezing any kind of citrus fruit and you want to make sure that the seeds don't go in, just squeeze into your hand. And then I was like, oh, there's no seeds in this. So then I had a little bit more fun with it, but it's just that's my pro tip. So you're not fishing lemon seeds out of your salad dressing all the time.
We only need half as much, so I'm just going to return that.
And you keep your tofu in the water, right? So it doesn't go bad right away.
Yeah.
So you keep the tofu water for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the thing is, if you just put it if you put it in plain water, it starts to leach all the salt out and it has less flavor.
Yeah, and normally what I do is if I'm not going to use a whole brick at once, I will dump all the water into like another serving container and put all the other like a smaller container, so it tries to keep as much.
That's
of it
exactly how I have
submerged.
like a little square Tupperware.
Yeah.
Or like rectangular Tupperware that like tofu lives in water.
In fact, maybe I'll actually get this thing rolling right now.
Probably a good idea.
Is it? That's it.
Yeah.
Heat. All right. And that means we're gonna need. And do you need oil for that?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Brown sugar, lime juice, soy sauce, ketchup, sriracha, and broth, but it doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't say please add that in here, right?
I guess that's just add the water to the broth.
Oh yeah, actually for people, Jesus, that is already quite hot. Let's get that. Oh yeah,
That's why I kept having to like ride the heat on that rice pudding.
this is something that I can do because I'm really, really close to the pan.
Yeah, in a small bowl, whisk together brown sugar, lime juice, soy sauce, ketchup, and hot chili sauce. It says nothing about the broth,
Yeah,
so I'm not adding it.
good. All right, thank you. Yeah, we already have smoke, so I have to turn that down a hair again. All right. Well,
What oil is that?
canola.
Canola. So it's got a high smoke point. It's just a really hot pan.
Yeah, it already got quite hot, so I'm a little surprised. I didn't want to bring in anything that was too,
Hey, Beej,
yeah.
while you're doing that, put me in charge of the noodles.
Okay, great
This
idea.
is constant supervision. How do you want me to get those noodles cooking?
So we need half a package of that.
Yes.
And I have a liter of water that's already been boiled in the kitchen in the moon base.
I'm gonna go do that. I'm
Okay.
gonna go put these in a big pot or bowl
Yeah.
or something.
If we have a pot or a pan or something handy that we can get that in just to submerge them for 5 minutes. I don't know if we have another pot.
You
Hey,
know,
if you want to use that,
I'm
yeah.
gonna use this.
Awesome. Okay, so the smoke's kind of worked its way out. Paul, I'm sorry we covered the lights or the camera or something in a little bit of oil smoke. Hopefully that's not going to be a huge deal.
Fine.
It's fine, he said. You all heard him. I hope he said it into the microphone so you all could hear him. All right. Toss that a bit. So why a wok? Because I like to have a lot of room to work with. But when I'm at home, generally, I'll just use cast iron pans. I have more than 2 cast iron skillets, but I have 2 of my favorite cast iron skillets. Those are the ones that I use to actually do most of my cooking in. And why bring the wok? Because the wok I knew would heat up in a big hurry. Would cook faster. It's not as even a heat, but yeah. So, yeah. And now I just don't have to toss that a lot, just kind of have to wait a bit. Do that. Yeah, this wok is, this wok started silver. Like, bright silver. Well, I should say matte silver, actually, more than anything else. And now it is not that anymore. Mostly because I tried to season it. Because I was like, well, you know, I want to try to season the wok so I can cook stuff with it. So I had it heat very high and I put canola oil all over it to see if I can get it to season properly. And I kept going back and you do the thing where it's like you wipe it down with a paper towel full of oil, and so that you just have a very, very like an unnoticeable sheen to it, right? Because you mostly just are wiping it off anyway, but the little bit that's left. And then I just held it on its side and went around and around and around on some heat to try to get all the different sides to take in the oil and smoke and blacken a bit. Turns out that's not how I should have done it. What I should have done is I should have taken the wooden handles off and just shoved it into the oven and just let it sit there upside down, and that would have probably been a more even heat.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do with cast iron frying pan.
Exactly. But like what I really love about it is that, yes, all the stuff on the side, of course, that looks kind of awful. But this bit down here, that dead center, all that black that's in the dead center there, has been really, really good to me. So at some point, I will get rid of this wok, replace it with a different wok, something that maybe is, because now Superstore is selling cast iron woks apparently for like $25. And I thought maybe I'll go to Superstore and get one of their cast iron woks and try to do that instead. Let's turn that up just a hair. They aren't cast iron, they are carbon steel, I think. But I have no idea if they're even pre-seasoned or not. I think most stuff is coming from most places now that are selling cookware tend to try to sell it pre-seasoned. But I remember reading stuff on the internet from like 5 or 10 years ago that was like, if you do go down to Chinatown and buy a wok, take it home and wash it with dish soap really, really well. You need to wash it with dish soap. And I was like, but that would take all the oil off in it, and you keep reading and it's like, because the woks you tend to buy for really cheap in Chinatown tend to come direct from China, and they use machine oil to keep them from rusting. They don't use...
So not food safe.
Yeah, it's not food safe. They don't even use like mineral oil or something else. They're using a machine oil of some sort to keep them from rusting. And so you have to take them home and wash them really good, and then pat dry them really good, and then really fast get some oil on them before they start to oxidize.
I have a cast iron frying pan that I use for almost everything that I got when I went out to university. I got my grandparents were moving, and so it was like they found this cast iron frying pan, like, because they had their cookware, but this was just like in the back of a closet somewhere.
Yeah.
And so it was like it had like a layer of rust on it, and so it took probably like 6 months or so
of constant scouring.
Well, no, of like scouring it and then cooking something and then that thing just like staying on the like it's like the non-stick aspect of the cast iron did not really kick in for a while. I had to season it a few times.
My new favorite thing is induction burners. Holy shit, this is my first time cooking on one, and I cannot believe that I've got this has crisped up as fast as it has. Sorry, I lost a piece of food, and I'm going to just get that out of the way.
I mean, it's particularly interesting with the wok, because the wok is actually not making that much contact with the burner.
No, it's not. It's just somehow that, you can see, I don't have a round bottom wok. This is a square bottom wok that has warped. That's the right word. It is warped.
So it's become a round bottom wok?
It's become a round bottom wok over the years. Okay. So that's good. All right, so you're supposed to do the scallion whites and the garlic first. Cook and stir constantly. And they want the scallion whites because you want to add the other stuff later. I did not separate out my whites. So maybe what we'll do is we'll add the garlic first. And I need you don't have to use one of these. How much garlic does it say I need for this?
Sorry for leaving you alone for so long.
That's okay. I talked very loud. There's some garlic.
You can do a lot of stuff while a kettle of water is boiling.
Oh, it didn't actually boil?
Well, it wasn't hot and boily anymore, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I certainly, as far as like buying, I know like Anthony Bourdain and everybody else says, don't ever let anybody use like pre-chopped garlic or pre-chopped whatever. And the thing is, like, I agree with that up to a point, but if you're trying to learn how to cook, and you're feeling like, I don't want to spend 2 or 3 hours learning how to chop a garlic clove or learning how to do this or learning how to do that.
What if you have arthritis?
Yeah, if you have arthritis, right? Like if there's any sort of reasons to get stuff that's kind of already been prepped, if you can afford to do it, do it. And then if you want to change how you do it later, change how you do it later. Like I trust people who have been cooking to know that there's a difference between stuff that comes in the oil and stuff that is actually this other way. So, you know, keep that in mind, but don't let that stop you from doing anything. All right, so let's have a look at this. We did tofu already, and we did the garlic, but we did those out of order. It doesn't really matter. I didn't separate out my whites because I don't have many whites on this thing in the first place. We can throw a few of them in. There are a few whites. Scallion whites. Yeah. It says throw your scallion whites in so that the aromatics take effect. And
The whites have more strong flavor than the
Yeah.
green part. So you don't, like, if you eat just like the white onion part, it'll taste like more like a raw onion. Whereas the green onion has a much milder flavor, which is why you want to sort of cook them separately.
Yeah.
And like when you do a green onion pancake, like if you're a traditional Chinese person, you're doing it like actual Chinese style, like my roommate Belinda did. Spoiler, she was Chinese. No whites in the green onion pancake. And I'd be like, it's so wasteful. And she's like, it's just not done. I'd be like, but it's perfectly fine. And she got really mad at me. We had a debate. She was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, like, that's fine. I'll use them for something else. But like, she it only could be the dark green part. So it's like half an onion.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, then you're left with this other piece. And you're like, what do you do with it? And it's like, well, then you do something else with it because I'm sure as hell not going to use it.
yeah, exactly.
All right. So now what it wants me to do is move the ingredients to the side of the skillet, add a tablespoon of oil to the center of the skillet, and then we're going to add the eggs to stir fry until they are almost set and scrambled. So move everything to the far side of the skillet.
That tofu looks nice and brown.
Doesn't it?
Good job, Beej.
Induction cooking is like this. This is so cool. My shitty electric oven at home,
It does not get like that.
I'm not happy with that. This cooks so fast and so well.
Where do you want to do your eggs?
I'll use these.
Okay.
'Kay.
But where do you want to break them up?
I'm gonna break them over the pan.
Oh, you're just gonna whisk them right in the pan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa, look at that one-handed technique.
That made my mother really nervous. She did not like it when I did that. All right.
3, wasn't it?
Was it 3? 2 eggs lightly beaten. But we can add a third if we need to.
Oh, you brought 3, so
Yeah, I brought 3 because I was like, I brought 3 because I thought I need them to cook up in the, I need them to not rattle around inside the thing.
Oh,
And then I was like, but I could also put 3 in the thing perhaps. So let's just move that out. And I brought this because I was like, the wood one's fine, but it's never good at getting all the crap off the bottom of the pan.
yeah. With people are talking about induction cooktops. Bill's mom was like, "Oh, Graham, you got to get Kathleen an induction cooktop," and I'm like, I mean, that's great in a fantasy world where I can afford to replace my stove
Oh yeah.
with a $3,000 stove. Yeah.
Right? But man, if that day ever comes, I will totally go induction. This is a godsend. And I love cooking with cast iron anyway, so I know this is very loud, all the scratching and stuff. Next step after this is, adding the drained noodles. So we're probably going to be close to being done here.
I should figure out how I'm going to drain these noodles.
Shit. Maybe we'll just lift them up with
Ooh,
this.
that's hot even by my standards.
Okay.
Give me that wooden.
Yep.
I don't know if these are cooked enough.
Are they loose and feeling very...
They're not cooked.
Okay. Well, what we can do then is we'll just put them on the burner.
Oh, yeah. I knew I washed that pan for a reason.
Thank you.
I'm a smart lady.
So that was the pan you did all the other stuff in?
Yeah. I didn't get it as clean as I should have. But I was like, I really kind of just want to get this clean in case I need to cook these noodles. And half a package fit better than I expected it to.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I might have to break these, but that's okay.
It's funny, right? Because when I cook with them at home, I put a whole bunch in, and then I'm like, should I break these? No, don't break them. That's terrible.
It's bad luck.
Yeah.
Oops.
But then over time, I start to think maybe it's actually worthwhile to do it. Like, so yeah. All right.
But like, you saw how dirty I got that pan.
Oh yeah. I'm
And, like,
surprised it's as clean as this.
It's not as clean as it should be, but like I gave it a good scrub. And like, don't be afraid of getting your pans dirty and cooking at high heat.
Yeah.
Like, you can't actually ruin a pan. Like, maybe it won't be shiny anymore, but that's okay. That just means that you've made good food in it.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely ruined pans.
I mean, like, you can boil them dry.
Yeah, that's
But,
true.
like, you can't ruin a pan by, like, giving something a good caramelize in it. I'm just going to let that boil.
That's fair. I should have
Max power.
put this somewhere then for a second.
Here, how about on this this placemat, this beautiful placemat? We got these at PAX South.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you for giving them to us. I hope you don't mind if we use them as a trivet in the meantime.
I mean, hey, placemats are for keeping hot things off tables.
That's true.
What do you think we're doing?
Yep. we're saving this expensive table that we have from getting ruined. Oh man.
Oh, there we go. Now it's boiling.
Yeah, it's actually a good point.
Oh, right, lime
the
wedges.
thing that
Do
actually
I supreme this for extra fanciness or just not bother?
I'll leave it up to you.
How do you supreme half a lime?
the thing that
Oh,
really
such a nice sharp knife, though.
that really ruins a pan quickly is the like plastic cookware being left in it or near it.
Oh, yes.
That's probably ruined more pans than just the actual like cooking in the pan.
Yeah. That does suck when that happens.
This is such a sharp knife. You guys should do another Tinker Tailor and sharpen my knives.
It's very zen. I mean, you could come in and borrow Ian's sharpener if you have 3 hours to spare and just sit there.
Absolutely not. If I have 3 hours to sit, you know what I'm going to be doing? Playing video games.
That's fair.
Reading books.
I'm feeling pretty good about these, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the Olympics and sharpen knives.
Oh, not paying attention while sharpening a knife. What a great idea.
It's a great idea when you have a toddler running around.
Well, I'd do that after she went to bed. How's that? How are those?
Very close.
So, Kathleen, you threw out the term supreme. What the fuck what were
Yeah.
you talking about? That's where you do the very fancy thing, and I'm not going to properly do it because this is too small. But you need a really sharp knife, so this is working great, honestly. And you do the thing where you cut around the pith of your citrus fruit, and you cut the skin off, so you get these beautiful little delicious wedges with none of the
No pith, no skin.
no pith, no skin, just pure flavor. It's so good. I did a pig, like a pork shank ossobuco with supremed grapefruit.
Oh, nice.
Oh my god, it was so worth it, even though it was so fidgety. And even though you turn like an entire grapefruit into like next to nothing.
Okay, we're good here.
Okay, whoever invented that term.
Oh, fancy French people.
But like, this thing that I just figured out how to do with this fruit, yeah, it's called supreme.
Yeah, we're going to call it
It is
supreming.
literally the greatest thing you can do to a fruit.
It is very good as far as citrus fruit goes. Like, it's high tier.
All right, we're going to add drained noodles. And it says, now this is half, what you have here
It's half the package.
is half of a package. And it said you had to add 227, and the packages are 450. So all of these noodles have to go into this.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, we could probably do this bit by bit. And I'm just like, but how? Like this? Because we don't have a colander? Maybe?
Here. Actually, I feel like I'm using the wrong side.
Aha. Do you want to use two?
Oh, yes.
Two?
Tools?
Two
My
tools?
god, what kind of apes are we, Beej?
Wow.
That's
can-
me,
you know-
making a noodle dish and not thinking about bringing a colander.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's, you know,
You're
That'll
almost,
do.
You're almost up to the level of what crows can do.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
Switch.
Okay.
Tool
Switch!
usage.
Wow, I'm glad I'm helping.
Thank you. All right. Okay. And it wants me to add that and the scallion greens and half of the sauce.
Oh, this is like still mega fucking hot, by the way.
Which
The stove.
that's fine.
I turned it down a bit. Well, actually,
Probably
'cause
get it. Yeah. Back up to there will probably be okay.
And how much sauce?
Half.
Only half.
Only half because we finished with the other half apparently.
Well, eyeball time.
Maybe a little more. Yeah. Seems good. Seems legit.
You can't use the wooden spatula on that, could you?
I could use a wooden spatula on it. Oh, would you prefer that? Because it would make less noise.
It's It's really grating noise.
Okay, that's fair.
Beej was being authentic.
Yeah, they don't care much how much noise they make in the kitchens, right? That smells really good.
That's quite saucy.
Yeah, that's surprising, actually. That's going to be good, though, when we have to finish with the rest of the other stuff. Normally, I'll boil an entire package of noodles, and then I will keep the noodles separate, and when it comes time to combine everything together, I will do it in a big pot. I'll just add everything to a giant pot and mix it together until it's all done. But it's usually after the, outside of heat. So, I don't even know if we're actually supposed to keep cooking. It's just cook and toss constantly for 2 minutes. So, okay. I guess we got to get the sauce to cook, so. The Superstore jar thing says add the sauce on its own without the noodles. Cook it until it's all cooked down and then add it over top of noodles when you're done.
Oh.
So this is a little different, but it's
This
probably...
seems more authentic.
Yeah, do it in a great big pot. Do they use woks in other places, like in Thailand and in all that other? Because
I've never been to Thailand.
Yeah, I don't know if they do. I've seen them I've seen a lot of big roadside stands that have giant pots and stuff to cook in, and giant pans like woks. But all right. So this is keep adding sauce until noodles are soft and evenly colored. So we can keep adding the sauce.
Oh, just to add half the sauce and then...
Yeah, to start it. And then it's then just add until noodles are soft. And I'm like, you'll find that the noodles are probably already... Maybe that was the thing. We're supposed to add them al dente.
Didn't it say a cooked package of noodles?
Yeah. It said cook them for 5 minutes. Maybe they don't actually cook in 5 minutes. Look at what I'm learning. Oh, look at that.
That's a darker brown than I normally see pad thai.
Yeah, right?
Although there's a lot of soy in this sauce. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying.
Some people in the chat were wondering, can you I don't know, take a picture or scan that,
yeah,
post this recipe or is
Absolutely.
this recipe just available on their website?
If you go to www.lekiu.ca,
What about the rest of these noodles?
Yeah, do it. lekiu.ca, maybe they have recipes there. If they don't, I will make sure that this makes it onto either the Discord or somewhere so you guys can actually attempt this recipe. This smells amazing compared to my stuff at home. I hope it tastes good.
There's only one way to find out.
Absolutely.
I think we're out of clean cutlery.
I kind of wish I'd done all the tofu now.
Yeah, you could add more tofu to that.
Way more tofu to this.
But as printed on the wrapper at least.
Yeah. We got there.
That's a very saucy.
So what all is in the actual sauce?
That would be soy sauce, sriracha and ketchup,
brown sugar,
and lime juice.
Yeah.
I probably added a bit more than a tablespoon of lime juice.
Nobody can ever add too much lime juice, I'm sure.
Interesting.
This seems great.
Do we have a?
It's almost more of
like
it's really like a sriracha soy sauce. Really.
Kind of, yeah. The ketchup.
I feel like that's the main flavor
Okay,
profile.
this is what I was eating the eggs with. Hand me a paper towel and I'll just
bet.
wipe it off.
Okay. All right. Did we get there? Get some tofu on that. Oh, it's really good. Oh man, it's really good. Oh man, that sriracha is so good for this.
I'm just going to imagine what it's going to be like if it had cilantro
Yeah.
as the Lord intended.
Oh, and the peanuts too.
Oh.
Yeah, Real Gamer Cow says, is there no fish sauce? There's no fish sauce. I don't know why. That's pretty damn good.
That's quite spicy.
Yeah.
Spicier than I thought it would be, but it's good. It's too spicy, I like it, but it's too spicy for me to make for Graham.
Yeah, I would probably have to knock the spice level down if I was going to eat this all the time, but then again, I'm going to try having a whole bowl of this later and also take it home for Heather to have some too. Or, I know we have plastic containers. Maybe we'll just pack all this stuff up and just leave it in the fridge so we have lunches for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
good.
game.
I would prefer that with cilantro, and I think a little bit of fish sauce would actually...
Even a little more umami?
Yes, because
Yeah.
like soy sauce will give you a lot of umami, but I feel like a fish sauce would add a little bit of depth of flavor. But hey, if you don't do fish sauce, this is completely vegetarian, which is probably why it doesn't have fish sauce in it.
This is great. I'm glad this was a victorious experiment. So I'm happy. And God, your egg thing was good, and I can't wait to have a little more of that.
Yeah, I think Beej and I are going to clean up and then eat food.
Yeah, I think Paul will too. Paul, are you gonna have some of this?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that works out, and we'll see if anybody else who's watching at home decides to roll in and get food as well. Let's welcome our subs, though.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Paul?
All right. Well, thank you everybody who has been watching and subscribing and following and helping us out on the Patreon and all that stuff. But in particular, we want to thank these people, starting with
Margie Argie for 9 months. Please do not cook the sub, baby.
We would never cook a sub, baby.
Never.
And Old Man PJ is a brand new subscriber.
Hope you enjoyed what you saw.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Oh, Eshy Cherry Cole says, I could eat.
Oh. Foxy Panda Bear is back for the 4th month. Let's make some food on Tinker Taco Soda Fries. That actually sounds pretty good, too.
Yeah. Renaku has subscribed for 5 months, saying 5 months. Oh boy!
And Tauron's back for the 18th month. Welcome back, Tauron.
And Broken Golem has resubbed for 15 months, saying, I always aim my resubs for Tinker Tailor time.
And a big welcome back to Monkus Be Funky, who subscribed yesterday, and you actually said that. You're back for 17 months. But hey, thanks.
The Softest Bunny has subscribed for 15 months. Woo!
Old School's back for 5 glorious months. All this food talk is making me hungry. Now you can cook.
Just Me Jude, 13 months says 13 months. That's a spoopy amount of months.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Crazy Max 46 is a new subscriber. Welcome to the channel, Max. I hope you enjoyed it tonight.
Hey, it's Sui Fan 22 for 2 months. Yay!
Lim, it's your 3rd month. Welcome back, Lim.
Mike Lunsford, 11 months. Hope this gives you some cooking tips for yourself, too.
Desert Bus Game Jam is back for the 17th month. Desert Bus Jam better than Desert Bus Wine. I'd have to take your word for it. Never tried the wine.
Yeah. Chaotic Observer, 6 months. That's half a year.
And Roy Eltham's back for 13 months as well. Yay, Tinker Tailor Soul Fry.
Oh, it's Pathardo for 2 months. Says, love all the work, guys. Keep it up.
And Gorgon's Mind's back for the 20th month. Welcome back, Gorgon.
And Tevian, 10 months. That shakshuka looks amazing. It was very good.
Manfred909 for 21 months. Am I the only one getting hungry? No, I'm starving.
Snorkel Moose is a brand new subscriber.
John K235, it's your 39th month. Wow.
Wow. Screaming Turnip is a new subscriber.
And Photosynesis is a new subscriber.
What a clever username.
Welcome back.
Oh, and thanks for 1,216 bits from Earthern One, Type 1 Diabetic, Dilbert Rock Pusher, and our Railroad Tycoon 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That one catches me too sometimes. This was great. And now we have to clean up.
I know. So I was going to say, for a Type 1 Diabetic, the first dish I made, that's like super great.
Glycemic index, not bad.
It's not going to spike your blood sugar at all.
Mine,
Full
on the
fiber.
other hand, even if you make it with sugar-free ketchup, all that brown sugar is going to do a number on you.
Yeah, but it's delicious. Sugar adds flavor.
Agreed. I'm game.
So there's a poll here.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't pick usernames poll.
Oh yes.
Oh, the injury poll.
Well, this I think they've gone back on the injuries. This is tonight. Beej and Kathleen will be making us a feast for the eyes. How might this go?
Oh.
Although there might be some injuries. Alex, watching at home, somehow loses a foot. 25% of the vote.
Wow.
22% says no one gets a cut on their hand because proper safety procedures are followed.
That's right. All of you were correct because Beej and I know how to cook.
Yep.
Well, at least Beej and I.
16% says everyone is really impressed by the new recipe they create, Beej drop soup.
Give me some water and some more eggs.
Yeah.
17% says Beej mixes up recipes and accidentally creates thermite and has to explain himself to the super.
Yeah.
Which is also himself.
Right.
What the hell the hole is from.
I'm a naughty boy. I'm a naughty. Oh no, that doesn't sound right. Let's not do that. No.
Ian is absent, just all of him.
Well, that one should have been. That's
He's
true.
on a boat.
Yeah. And the
He's
egg,
on a boat. He's on a boat.
The eggs hatch and the cast is chased by land barracudas.
Oh yeah, right. We did that yesterday.
Are those? Can we guarantee that those are chicken eggs?
I can't. It's just Farmer Ben's eggs, and I've never spoken to Farmer Ben, so I have no idea whether.
Oh wait, I have an egg tip.
Do you?
Yeah. Eggs, fresh eggs, right? How do you ensure fresh eggs? Well, this is gonna sound bad if you like your chickens happy like I do, because I buy free-range eggs most of the time.
Yeah.
My eggs are never fresh because they're expensive.
Yeah.
$6 a dozen in British Columbia at least. So I never get fresh eggs unless I can get them from a farm. Buy the eggs that are on sale. Very fresh.
Because they're constantly churning them.
Yes. These are $3 a dozen eggs. Did you see how rich the yolk was?
It was very,
Very fresh eggs.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, $3 a dozen for nice brown eggs from the island. What a great deal. And you reach at the back of the fridge and you pull out like the eggs that have just been stocked. Those are the freshest because they sort of, the food comes forward.
Yeah.
So that's how to get. So buy your cheap eggs on sale, as long as they're not being cleared out because they're about to expire. But typically eggs like have a long shelf life, so usually it's just that they've gotten a lot of eggs and they need to move them.
They're
right?
constantly pushing them out.
I mean, there's an
anyway, so-
expiration date on the
Yeah.
package.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
look at
Yeah, so you could look, but yeah. Buy your egg. Grab your eggs from the back of the cooler. That's my
Yeah,
egg freshness tip.
One thing that I did, eggs can expire in interesting ways. I had like a thing of eggs in the back of my fridge that I did not know was there.
Oh.
And I had eaten lots of eggs from other packages, and then I had this egg, and it was in the fridge, so it didn't go rotten,
Right.
but it went solid.
It just dried out entirely.
Wow.
Like I cracked it, and there was still white, but the yolk was like
Just
like
a solid.
like it had been boiled, like it didn't crack. I was like, this is bad.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that they were really old, so I wasn't planning on eating them.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was mostly curious. So yeah, if your egg yolks are solid without having cooked them at all, maybe don't eat those eggs.
Oh no.
Take us home, Paul.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Coming up tomorrow, we have 9 o'clock
Woo!
in the morning. Got some Snorshcraft with James and Rebellious Uno. Who knows what they're going to build? It'll be ridiculous, probably. We got Let's Nope with Alex and Ben.
I don't know what the game they're playing, but we'll find out tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we got Space Hulk.
Right.
AFK.
And that's 1v1, so that's going to be Ben and Cameron versus.
Ben and Cam, I believe, are
Yeah.
going to be playing that. So this will be an interesting one. I don't know how it will go, but apparently Cam, I believe, has played Space Hulk before.
Yeah.
I don't know
Ben
if Ben
hasn't.
has.
Yeah,
but,
and I think Cameron was talking about giving him the units that will actually make it easier for him to play, but I don't know how that's going to play out.
or maybe he's just saying that, and he's played it before, so he knows which side to take.
Could be mind gaming, yeah.
But yeah, we received the Space Hulk game long time ago. Somebody sent it to us, and so we're it's awesome to actually get a chance to use it. So here we go. So yeah, and then after that, of course, oh yes, we have Games of Chance.
Right, that's a brand new game.
We're playing Gravity Rush. That was our random chance. If you saw us on Twitter, we posted a little video, which James apparently did not actually get the dice roll in the shot.
Nope.
Which was kind of the point
What a
of the video.
professional he is.
Yep.
eh?
But anyway, and he
I would
also
have gotten the
calls
dice roll in
it.
the shot. You would have gotten the dice roll in the
I
shot.
think he also
Absolutely.
called it games of choice in the video. So it was.
Fire
was-
James is what we're
It was not the best. Well, we'll try to do another video next week for the next game. But anyway, we're playing Gravity Rush. Neither James nor I have played it or knew anything about it, but
Okay.
it sounded really neat, and a bunch of people suggested it as a cool action adventure game. So,
Then Lure MTGs after that.
and Lure
Yeah.
MTG, and then of course we're into
Oh,
Friday.
that's a streamer showdown actually in Lure MTG. It's,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that's
true.
Theros.
Yeah, Theros Draft. So Adam will be coming by for that.
Yeah, Adam's coming
Triple
in for that.
Theros is Adam's favorite format.
Yeah.
And then we got Talking Simulator on Thursday night, where they're going to be. We keep saying they're going to be finishing up Life is Strange, but I think it's gone on a little longer than they were expecting.
Well, it turns out when you play a game with Cameron, just the games take longer than you think. Because on Friday, Cameron and I are still playing Doki Doki Literature Club. No spoilers! Don't spoil us. We're still blind.
Yeah.
Are you saying that? Is it that Cameron is slowing them down, or that Cameron just happens to be choosing to participate in games that take longer?
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do more testing.
Some blind testing, yeah.
And then we have the crapshoot.
Woo!
And then we have LRRMTG, where we're going to be drafting 6th edition.
And that's Paper Magic.
Paper
in this
Magic.
room.
You can't see it on the set right now, but just to Beej's right, there's a Beej's right.
Yeah, my right.
There's a box of 6th edition.
You see it? It's above
that's been sitting on the. It's been sitting on the set.
I literally did not know what this looked like, and
For
I was
a
just
very,
like,
very
it's
long
probably
time.
this.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think.
And so we have no idea what it's going to be like.
Classic 6th.
Yeah.
Neato.
So yeah. I
That'll
didn't even
be
know
fun.
what. Yeah, we'll have to look up what like the chase rares are for
Magic
6th
the
edition.
Gathering Classic is geared for players who learned how to play Magic with a starter level product. So
Really?
this is for advanced players.
Well, because it came at the same time. I guess like Portal was out at this point, so they were like, "This is for the fancy people."
Ah.
All right, so that's what we're doing the next little while. Tune in for all that awesome stuff. Thank
We're
you
gonna
for
go
watching.
clean the moon base.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, bye.